moderator, my colleague and the Rest for Africa didactic coordinator for the Madrid Academy, Professor Andrea Mitangeli. We will guide you through this opening remark session. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this new Microgrid Academy session and entire training. Please.
So today we really want to start with a really good and proper way, welcoming and leaving the floor to all the partners that have contributed to create this program. It started in 2018 and we are now at its first year of implementation. So let me start leaving the floor to our Secretary General from Rest for Africa Foundation, Mr. Roberto Bigotti. He has a really long experience in the renewable energy sector, more than 30 years among the research, project implementation, but most of all leading this foundation and guiding all of us through this renewable world. Mr. Roberto Bigotti, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Marta, for your kind words, and thank you for the effort you, Andrea, and your team are doing to keep this tradition of vocational training, which is one of the biggest success story of our academy. Thank you very much. Also, I like very much also the video you show. Now, with your permission, I will try to share the video because I want to introduce some concepts that are interesting to understand why we are here for you. I am Roberto Bigotti. Marta was very kind saying 30 years is almost 40 years, Marta. When I started renewable, even in Italy, the option of renewable was called Cinderella option, meaning that at that time, my company wanted to do 60 nuclear power plants, coal, gas, whatever. So my effort to do some photovoltaic was considered a Cinderella. But like all the fairy tale, also the renewable went a success story, and then now they are #1. Even the IEA, as you know, says that photovoltaic and wind are the king of the future power generation in the world, and therefore must be also in Africa. Today I will concentrate easily on the broad concept that later my colleague will also exploit. I think that we have to talk about sustainable development for Africa, because it's a multiplier of a socioeconomic spillover, and not only decarbonization. Lately, we had so many conference from UNECA, from IRENA, and the message is that decarbonization is one of the potential issue. There also industrialization, digitalization, skill training. So we think that those 4 items: long-term economic growth, social welfare increase, climate resilience, and technology innovation are part of our landscape in which we work. And of course, being most of us European, strong EU-Africa partnership is a catalyst. So welcome to this family of vocational training people, and I can anticipate you that we will follow you even later. We gather all of you in a format by which you receive information also in the coming. We don't not only do training, high-level training, but we do also follow you in your empowerment in your life. We concentrate mostly on universal access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable electricity. That's our mission in Rest for Africa. There are also complementary topics like green hydrogen or like e-mobility or even other, but we concentrate mainly on this universal access to electricity because we think that electricity is crucial for the prosperity of the Africa. And therefore, we also remind you, please, that access to electricity has a transformational impact on development. There are at least 3 topics for people, for prosperity, and for planet. For people, certainly, you're much aware that family life, industrial life, commercial life, transportation, everything. The blood of the continent is energy, and therefore having a strong, reliable, and clean electricity is so important for Africa. Prosperity because indeed, not only we know easily that energy creates growth, creates products, creates jobs, but also because the combination of energy together with others, like the water energy food nexus, you provided to the rural people in Africa or even in Europe also, not only electricity from green, but also you procure to them water and also something like food, and the get-3 combination makes the big difference in terms of prosperity. And also the planet, because even though Africa still will need to use its fossil fuel in the transition, it is very clear that for the planet and for yourself, you have to go to decarbonization as well. And therefore, in the medium long term, Africa will definitely exploit its fossil fuel at the moment, and then later only renewable. So it's a transition. We range at 2050, where most of the renewable will be the power generation in Africa. The transformation of Africa. Well, I just mentioned 4 items. The affordability, that's something very important because people must be able to use energy. I tell you that because of the COVID, there were, the famous number, 600 million people in Africa without electricity. Actually, there are 30 million more people who got access to energy, electricity, cannot use it because they don't have money. So they have the line, but they prefer to use traditional fuel because they cannot afford to spend in the bill. So that's important, affordability for the people, sustainability, of course, of the supply. That's not only a long-term sustainability in terms of environment, but sustainability in terms also of a national strategy. Of course, security, because we have to be sure that the introduction of renewable in the grid, both transmission, distribution, is safe and provide reliable energy. We count that up minimum 2% of GDP in Africa is lost because of the energy is not reliable, not secure. And finally, of course, we need to discuss the diversification from fossil fuel and the environmental protection. Just a couple of the slides, just one to say the IEA says on the left, you see the need for low carbon technology in 2018 in the so-called business as usual scenario, the green one, and in the Africa case scenario, 2040, you see how much increase we need in terms of billion US dollar to make Africa more energetic, but also more reliable. And on the right, something sometimes missing. We need to also to stress the importance of networks, not only transmission but distribution, but also mini grids, like today we're going to discuss, because sometimes this one is neglected. You see, the IEA says in the longer term, you need almost a little more in transmission, distribution, and then use than in generation. So the narrative that we talk about clean energy is also to be coupled with the narrative that we need transmission distribution there. And this one is not so easy because, in your countries, there's a monopoly of a state-owned company who are not able to collect the fees. They cannot invest. So we need to open the space of transmission distribution to public-private partnership, international partnership to boost the exploitation of a transmission line. Our action follows 3 concepts. We want you and us to go from engagement to policy, because you can engage, you can also make a declaration in the COP in Glasgow or in Cairo next October. But the policy is the instrument which allows things happening. And then policy means regulation, means primary and secondary legislation, but then from policy to planning, because we need to planify correctly the overall development of green and clean electricity, but also transmission distribution. So, and finally, from planning to implementation may be the most difficult part, because these require not only technical assistance, but industrial assistance, and also the risky investment to make sure this happens. So those are the 3 pillars to create an environment from private sector, public-private sector involvement. Let's be very clear, unless private sector, African private sector, international private sector helps to develop the energy infrastructure, the things will delay too much. The state, the government, they do not have enough resources to make this happen. Rest for Africa Foundation works along 4 guidelines. We advocate the opportunity and benefits of clean energy. We have a lot of studies, analysis. They are available on our website. We analyze solution, new business model, and we recommend a new solution, possibly benchmarking this solution with international practice, not only European, but Latin America, Asia. So you are aware now in Africa that things are happening in Colombia, are happening in Brazil, are happening in Thailand, and the story is similar to the one you can apply. So not only industrialized country like in Northern Europe or North America, but also developing country. We train individuals. Not only we train individuals like you, we train individuals also in your ministry, in your regulatory, next slide will show, but and support, of course, the adoption of a solution. So those are the 4 pillars under which we list our activities. Just to give a quick look at our main activities, we have a study on the regulatory and policy regulation system of the country done missing link called with the UNECA, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. We do a lot of business model study and pilot case for access to energy. We launched a few months ago the item of Grids for Africa to improve the quality of service, the infrastructure, and private investment. We still have the traditional Rest for Med area, which is the original logo was this one 10 years ago before we moved to Africa. But therefore, we keep also an eye on the specific issue regarding Northern Africa, which is more linked to Europe. Also in Brussels, the DG NEAR is the one who talks about Med, while DG DevCo or DG IMPA works with Southern Africa. So then we have a Sub-Saharan African program and the advanced training course, which is ongoing. And tomorrow we have a lesson on project management, and today the Microgrid Academy. Just to recap, and I'm almost finished, the 2 major blocks of training capacity building is the advanced training course, where we focus on key technical, regulatory, financial, and sustainability issues for renewable energy. And we deliver this one to hundreds of people chosen by the ministry, the regulatory agency, the university, the academia, but also the banks and utility. And now we have, for instance, we have now almost 260 people. Tomorrow they will attend lesson number 5, and every Wednesday they are allowed to listen to a full session on a single topic for institutional capacity building. But then we have this wonderful Microgrid Academy. It's a vocational capacity building project. We are very proud. It's also supported by, of course, both of them by Enel Foundation. I think later to me, Christian will talk. The Enel Foundation is a terrific program on capacity building, and they are very pleased to co-finance our effort in terms of training capacity building. And we're very proud that the two programs, the one done by the Foundation of Enel and the one done by the Foundation of Rest for Africa, are really achieving a strong impact, not only in terms of youth, but in terms of empowerment of people. And so therefore, you see under 25 participants are listed to this one, which is really, again, a record. Even though we have the problem of not being physically there, we're also very proud to having people from so many countries there. Altogether, more than 1,000 young people were trained, and we are very proud that we have been able to provide them a push for their energy future. So I almost conclude. These are some of the publications that you can download from the website. By definition, I tell you, Rest for Africa doesn't not have any password to enter here or any registration email. We don't want to know. You just go there and you suck whatever you want. You download whatever you want, because the more people in Africa know what we are doing, the better for all of us. And therefore, follow us on the social media. We have a LinkedIn, we have Twitter, we have so many things. We have the website, very easily reachable. A newsletter, you can apply to Marta or to Elena Sofia to get the newsletter on board every month. You can be invited to events and webinars. And of course, we have also several special links with the Microgrid Academy, which I think Marta will talk later. So with that, I wish you my best. I'm very proud of the work done by my colleagues, but also I'm very proud that so many young and passionate Africans will follow us. Thank you so much, Marta. The floor is now to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roberto Vigotti, for your sweet, really introduction and for presenting the multi-leader commitment really of REST for Africa in the renewable energy sector. Now, of course, many information and more detail will be provided along the week that we will spend together. I'm really proud to say that today we will have about 125 people from more than 25 African countries. So I think it's now time to go ahead with the introduction remarks from our dear local partners, and I would go ahead with the Professor Israel da Silva. I see he's already connected with us. Good morning, Professor da Silva. And he's the Deputy Vice Chancellor and Research and Innovation at Strathclyde University. We are really glad to have you with us one more time together to start this new edition of the Microgrid Academy. Strathclyde University is with us since really the first day of the program. And we are ready to listen to you, Professor Silva. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marta. I heard attentively the presentation of my good friend Roberto Vigotti, and it was like a puff of fresh air for this beginning of the year, you know, because REST for Africa, Mini Grid Academy, Enel Foundation, and also our partners here, you know, RC and Kenya Power, the whole team is doing something which is transformational. These numbers that Vigotti has displayed for us, they are not easy to achieve. You have to have behind people who are passionate, but also skilled and determined to give themselves, you know, to make this thing happen. So Vigotti, congratulations to REST for Africa. Congratulations to Enel Foundation, which is supporting also. So two powerful foundations, and you are transforming Africa, actually. So one of the things, Vigotti, I recall, because you said that you are, with our projects, we are doing access to job. People have access to income generating activities. This is marvelous, because I will tell you something. There are actually 54 countries in the African continent, and the population of the African continent is 1.2 billion people. And keep counting, because this continent has got a lot of very generous ladies, and the kids are coming. It's a young continent. Now, this continent has, as a GDP, $2.6 trillion. The 54 countries together making 1.2 billion people, $2.6 trillion. Now you go to Europe, you go to France, is a country with 66 million people, and the GDP is $2.7 trillion, more than the whole continent of Africa. And you ask why? Is it because we Africans are very stupid and the French people are very wise? No, it's because they do not have access to electricity. And Vigotti explained very well. It's like a professor. He told you, without electricity, there is no water. Without water, there is no food. So more than he was mentioned, 630 million people wake up in this continent, and they don't have a switch to switch on and have light. They have a small tin where they put a bit of paraffin and they lit that poor candle that give them internal pollution, bad for their eyes, bad for their lungs. So I think this is being changed, and history will tell us that people were behind it. I remember Muhammad Yunus about 20 or 30 years ago, starting Grameen Bank, giving loans to women. And today, you have more than 13 million women who have been served by that wonderful service because he was skilled, he was passionate, and he went into action. You know, the same thing can happen with this gentleman, Bill Gates. He said each individual in the planet will have a computer. The people of IBM laughed at him. Guess what? My students here have 3 computers. They have their phone, which is a computer. They have the iPad, which is a computer, and they have a laptop because they get it when they enter into the university. So this is remarkable, and I really am passionate to be part of it. And then the other day, I was reading the World Energy Council saying that what is important are regional integration, market design, that digitalization. But guess what? All these things are lofty and beautiful, but if you don't have people trained at the level that they can go out there and do income generating activities, this is just a dream. It is a dream. So I was discussing with Professor Andrea Michelangeli yesterday, and we both agreed. Capacity building, yes. Income generating activities, yes. And of course, training them in these modern things of smart metering, smart grid, smart city, smart everything, which is digitalization. And from that, we have a lot to learn from Italy because Enel is an incredible institution and they have the desire to help us in Africa. So in Strathmore, Marta knows this very well. We have the Center for Research, which is helping to train the people and design the syllabus, but we have a Bachelor of Science in Electrical and Electronic Engineering. Enel is giving 6 scholarships. 6 people who wouldn't be able to study, they are studying because of Enel Foundation. Then we also develop together a master's degree called Sustainable Energy Transition. We are starting classes next Monday, 31st January. Again, we want to have about 20 to 25 people with the idea of training for this future. And finally, we have another project also supported by Enel Foundation called Open Africa Power. 290 people being trained from 25 different countries in Africa at PhD level. Those are the ones who are going to help us to implement this in PAPS. I don't know whether I will be around, but I will be very happy to be looking from on high how the dark continent becomes the bright continent and begins serving all the other continents. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Silva da Silva, for your really passionate introduction remarks, and also for putting at the middle, at the center, the human potential that can really contribute to the energy transformation in Africa. So you already mentioned the Enel Foundation, and for this I'm really glad to leave the floor to Mr. Christian Gilberti from Enel Foundation as a Deputy Director and Head of Global Relations with University and Research Center.
Good morning.
The floor is yours.
Good morning, Marta. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, Professor Vigotti and Professor Da Silva. It's a pleasure being here with you and Professor Michelangeli in introducing this important another edition of the Microgrid Academy. So I will just take a couple of minutes because we are running a little bit late, just to introduce Enel Foundation and to mention some of the programs in which we are collaborating on one side with Rest for Africa and on the other one with Strathmore University. So Enel Foundation is the strategic study center of the Enel Group. So we are actually a research foundation. We do research in the energy sector on one side, and on the other one, we do capacity building programs. So in the part of the capacity building programs, we got a number of activities actually dedicated to very high-profile participants. So we organized a number of courses with PhD and master students, and we organized some courses for professionals in the energy sector. All of these courses are actually focused on the sustainability of the energy sector. So let me spend a couple of words about our focus on the African continent. So, as mentioned by Professor Vigotti at the beginning of the meeting, we are actually collaborating with REST for Africa, specifically on two programs. So one is the advanced training course. The other one is the Microgrid Academy. So this one. So we are partnering with REST for Africa since the beginning of this new venture, and it's a pleasure for us collaborating with REST for Africa in this case, and with you participants. So the other two examples I would like to give you, already mentioned by Professor Da Silva, are actually on one side the new Bachelor of Science in Electrical and Electronical Engineering, launched last year, and we are actually collaborating with Strathmore University by supporting the program with some scholarships, and by actually entering into the content of the program by giving some lectures. So on the other one, there is the Open Africa Power Program, which is a program dedicated to master and PhD students of the African continent. And our aim is to try and supporting actually the training of the new generation of African leaders in the energy sector. And actually, in that case, so in the case of the OAP program, there is a clear connection between the program itself and the Microgrid Academy, as most of our participants actually are lecturers in the Microgrid Academy. So you will have the pleasure to assist the classes given by our alumni of the Open Africa Power Program, and you'll have the pleasure to meet these guys. And hopefully, if you would like to actually participate also in our program, please take into consideration that we are about to launch the 5th edition of the program. The call for application will be online in a couple of weeks. And let me stress that there is a very good news. Actually, we are about to launch this edition of this Open Africa Power Program together with Sustainable Energy for All. So we are partnering with one of the agencies of the United Nations dedicated actually to sustainable energy. So we actually raised the number of admitted participants. So the program normally is dedicated to 90 participants. And now we're about to launch the new call for application dedicated to 150 participants. So please stay tuned. You will find all the news also on our webpage, as you can find there all the results of our research programs. Actually, one of our main aims is to participate into the scientific, into the public scientific debate. So any kind of research, any kind of results of our research is published on our website, as well as all the information about our capacity building program. So thank you very much for your time. I'm sure you spend very good time here at the Microgrid Academy. You learn so much about the energy sector, and our foundation is here to assist you and to find synergies with your personal pathways as well. So have a good day.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Christian Gilberti, for really presenting, introducing Enel Foundation to our participants, but also other possible programs they can, of course, apply to. And thank you also for allowing us to have this new edition of the Microgrid Academy, for your support and collaboration. Say that, I would proceed with the collection of greetings and speech from another key partner of the program. So for this, I would invite Romana Koech, that is AFSI Kenya country representative. I see she's already connected. So welcome, Romana. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta. So good morning, everyone. My name is Romana Koech. I'm AFSI Foundation country representative in Kenya, and I'm glad really to be here. A few years ago, when we used to meet at KPLC, trying to put together the idea of the Mini Grid Academy, I did not imagine that one day it could, what shape it could take and where we could reach. And today, listening to my previous speakers, Professor De Silva and Vigotti, I think it's very, very clear that a concerted effort by like-minded partners, having in mind the needs of the continent and more so the needs of young people in this sector, I think it's really quite exhilarating, and I can say that we are in the right direction. AFSI main work in the sector of renewable energy is really to promote the productive use of energy. I usually give also the example of my village, where it's not really off grid. So, but most people just use the electricity for lighting. But electricity and power can do so much more, especially in the direction that Vigotti was talking about at the beginning. So as AFSI, we are part of the Mini Grid Academy. We've been here with all the partners from the day one. And recently, we started in September the asset establishment at St. Kizito that will be a 30 kilowatt hybrid mini grid at the school that will also be used for training of young people, and also to have an hands-on for the vocational training in terms of the renewable energy and electric installation. So that is one of the sectors that AFSI currently works, and we are partnering in this together with the Race for Africa, YACRE, Strathmore University, NL Green Power, and St. Kizito itself, among other KPLC and other partners. So, but AFSI as an organization, we've been here in Kenya since 1986, especially in the sectors of education and youth skills for employment. Among the first things that AFSI did in Kenya was developing the vocational training centers, especially considering that Kenya is a youthful population and many youth were without skills and in need of a job. So there is no job that can be really done without a skill, and that's why we still continue to support youth in Kenya. Currently, we are implementing a World Bank project in 17 counties in the area of youth, especially for life skills and business skills training. That is really, you can have a business skills training, but if you don't have, like, for example, the electricity that will help you to improve the production of what you are doing, it can really also be a challenge. So this project of the energy, renewable energy, is quite timely, especially for the youth, especially in that sector. So for our educative activities, we support over 25,000 children in 12 counties, and most of them are obviously in Nairobi, the informal settlement, where we are supporting for school, for the families in terms of income generating activities, working with the institutions, especially educative institutions, to synergize and ensure that the vulnerable receive possible and quality education. We also, in education, we work in the emergency sector, where we are in Dadaab, training teachers also to improve the quality for education. One of the sectors that we are also collaborating, we are working on, especially to improve the status of women, is a project for women. It's been the area of energy value chain, where we are helping the youth. It's been the green energy sector to create resilience by giving them access to energy financing and also for productive use of energy by training and connecting them to the right financing. So lastly, what the other activity that AFSI does is on food security, where we are currently, we work with the various partners to ensure that communities develop sustainable food security activities, especially in value chains such as the dairy. And for this, we are mainly in Meru County, where we are currently finalizing a project where we are putting up 5 dairy cooperatives. So this and other projects, AFSI is part of the Mini Grid Academy, and I'm really glad to be here and to welcome all the young people that are will be participating. We will also be facilitating parts of the training. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of the training.
Thank you very much, Romana, really for introducing AFSI Foundation and the huge volume of activity you are implementing not only in Kenya, but all over African countries and beyond. You mentioned San Kizito. The participants will have the opportunity to meet them at the really last day of the training, and some of participants from Kenya will be also participating to a field visit in San Kizito, where, as Romana was mentioning, we are cooperating to create and construct a didactic tool with the support of the Italian Agency for Development Cooperation. Say that, I take 1 minute just to confirm that this edition is really special for us. We are partnering with other partners in Uganda and Ethiopia also to enable participants for these 2 countries to have practical activities in a local power plant. One of these stakeholders is EACRE. I would like then to take the opportunity to introduce you and leave the floor to Mr. Goddy Mwanguzi Muhumuza, that is Interim Executive Director and Active Director of Legal Affairs at Makerere University. So I think he's already connected. I cannot see him, so maybe he's not with us. I would like to ask support to Fred Sugar from EACRE, just to confirm he's connected.
Colleagues, thank you very much. I'm connected, I'm listening in. And as you can see, I'm driving, but I have stopped. I'm going to make this address. It's very fine. I welcome you all, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. As you have already been told, I am by names Canon Goddy Mwanguzi Muhumuza. I'm the Executive Director, EACRE, and we sit in, it is located in Uganda. That's where it has its head offices, but it is an East African community company, and we are doing great as of now. I have a team of some few people, but we are building strategies to make sure that we increase our team. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor, therefore, and privilege to address this virtual gathering on the opening of the 21st Microgrid Academy. First of all, allow me to wish us, all of us, a happy new 2022, which has come to all of us amidst various challenges. As you may be aware, or you are all aware, we have suffered a great a pandemic of coronavirus, and many of our colleagues have gone to be with their creators. So to be alive ourselves, we can't take it for granted. I also wish to express my profound gratitude to Raise for Africa for the great efforts they put towards capacitating our community with the much needed knowledge and skills that help our community in furthering more adoption of decentralized and distributed renewable energy, especially in Africa. I acknowledge the support of other partners like NL Foundation, Strathmore University, and I have had my brother and friend, Da Silva. I have worked with Da Silva before. He's my friend. Strathmore University, Kenya Power, St. Kizito Vocational Training Institute, and Avis, UNEPI, RWF, and others for their dedication on various fronts to ensure we have these regular training sessions for over 4 years now. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may all be aware, the East African Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency is an intergovernmental initiative of the East African Community Partner States. The main objective of the IACRI is to work with other organizations in efforts to accelerate access to modern, affordable, and reliable energy services, energy security, and mitigation of negative externalities of the energy system. For example, local pollution, greenhouse gases, emission, etc., in the East and Central Africa by creating an enabling environment for renewable energy and energy efficiency markets and investments. Ladies and gentlemen, since the establishment of we are happy to see support and receive support
Canon, you have muted yourself.
I'm sorry.
Can I be heard?
Yes, now yes.
Yes, now yes.
Where did I go? Ladies and gentlemen, as a regional center of excellence, IACRI is committed to promoting an integrated and all-inclusive energy market as an engine for socio-economic development and improved livelihoods, increase the long-term sustainability and long value creation of investment in the East African community. IACRI is committed to working with all stakeholders in strengthening energy entrepreneurship, technical and innovation systems. The center focuses on systematic efforts to ensure availability of technical assistance in the proximity of the end users in order to activate markets transformation, especially to those areas which we call the unreached. And as I conclude or try to conclude, we believe that the presence of technicians that are well versed in design, installation, troubleshooting, repair, and maintenance of renewable energy systems within the locality will increase the trust of the users and some more adoption to technologies. Currently, Rest for Africa and IACRI have a running MOU or agreement which allows the duo to collaborate in various aspects. Important to mention is the collaboration on the organization and implementation of capacity building activities, including joint training courses, workshops, programs, toward the scale up of the Microgrid Academy into an institutionally accredited and recognized program. Permit me to say that we at IACRI are committed to this logical and fruitful end. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let us all seek to lead in promoting universal access to modern efficiency, reliable, cost-effective renewable energy to all household, business, industries, and institutions in order to stimulate sustainable socio-economic development of the region. I sincerely thank all of you for sparing your invaluable time for this noble cause. Therefore, my belief that this training course will provide the much needed comprehensive and up-to-date theoretical and practical knowledge on microgrid systems, design, installation, operation, and maintenance. Above all, I hope the network and the interaction during this training will bring about partnerships that will will catapult our current energy situation into where we all desire to be. Wishing you all the best and good health. May God bless you. Once again, I thank you. Maybe before you take me off, I'm sorry. I have addressed this in the vehicle because when I was preparing to my speech, I was called by the Minister of Internal Affairs to his office to discuss Yakuri issues. And that's, as you can see, I'm on my way going to the Minister of Internal Affairs office. That's why I have addressed you in the vehicle. Otherwise, next time it will be from my office. I thank you and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gotti Mwanguzi Muhumuza, Interim Executive Director from ECRE. Thank you really for your speech and for confirming our collaboration and partnership to scale up not only the Microgrid Academy program, but more widely capacity building activities in East Africa. So say that we were supposed to have another speaker from Kenya Power. This is one of our partners in the Microgrid Academy, but the representative was not able to join us, even he's addressing his greetings to the class. For this, I see that also the time is running. I would like to really thank all the speakers and the representative from the partners that are really contributing to create this program and made this new edition really grateful. So thank you very much, Mr. Roberto Bigotti. Thank you very much, Mr. Isabella Silva, Christian Zulberti, Romana Koech, Gotti Mwanguzi Muhumuza. We really wish a good day and we hope to have you soon back with us in the next edition. Now it's the time to go ahead. I would like, first of all, to introduce the rest of the team. So I would welcome Elena Sottotercillo, my dear colleague, and Gautami Eti. They will be all the time in the next day with you, supporting you. You have been already contacted, in touch with them via email, via WhatsApp. So really do not hesitate to get in touch with them for any kind of additional support you may have. We will share some more practical information later on. I would like now to start with the new edition, next session. For this, it's now time to leave the floor to our dear participants, because of course we want also to know you. So now it's time for us to leave the floor to Carol from APSI Foundation. Carol, I don't know if you are already connected. Can you just confirm?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Caroline.
Yes, I'm here, Martha.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm here.
Now, the floor is to you, Carol. You will support us to make the presentation of participants very smooth. So please take the lead and guide us.
Thank you, Martha. My name is Caroline Mwenda. I work at APSI Foundation, which Romana Koech just presented to you all. And I'm going to lead this part of presentation so that it's an interactive session, because we want to know more who are our participants, where they are coming from. And to do this exercise, I'm going to share a link with you on the chat box where everyone is going to click on that link, and then we'll see how it works. So just a minute, I share with you. So I hope everyone can see the link on the chat box. So please, if you are able to open it, so we can start to interact. So thank you. Please try to just a minute. Sorry, I need to share my screen. Just a minute, please.
No problem, Caro. If I can, I would like to invite all the participants to open the video, just for a while.
Yes, sure, sure.
So let's open our video. Great. So we are really a lot of people today.
So
More than
yes,
120 people connected.
so are you able to see my screen, Martha?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So the first question for this interactive session is we wanted to know from which country our participants are coming from, or where do they live. And as you can see from my screen, we have many people from Ethiopia, from Kenya, from Uganda, from Nigeria, from Mombasa. Mombasa is in Kenya, for those who don't know. We have people from United Kingdom, Namibia, Lusaka, Rwanda, Ghana. We have people from Burundi, Kigali. Kigali is in Rwanda. Thank you. Continue typing, please. All our participants, make sure that you tell us which country you are coming from or where you live. Thank you. We have people from Zambia, Italy, Nairobi. Nairobi is Kenya, where we are. Thank you. I think we have a snapshot of where many people are coming from. Thank you, participants, for taking part in this exercise. So thank you. I'll present the next question. You can be able to type and tell us more about yourselves. Thank you.
I see that also many people are writing on the chat. I see also Algeria, Liberia, yeah, Ghana. But maybe we can share again also the link to the Mentimeter so that they can fill in. If you want to have your answer appear on Carol's screen, please go to the link that is shared in the chat, and then we will see your answer on the screen.
Yes, thank you, Martha. We have Cameroon, Addis Ababa, that is in Ethiopia. Thank you. We have Tunisia, DRC Congo, Uganda, Tanzania. Thank you, participants. This is very good. Okay. I think we are done with this part of our presentation. At least everyone now can be able to tell where most of our participants are participating from which country, or where. Some of us are students, then we have engineers, we have volunteers, volunteer interns, we have consultants, we have some lecturers in the house, we have energy advisor, we have technical sales. Thank you. We have solar trainer technicians, chief commercial officers. Thank you. Wow, this is so encouraging. Thank you, participants. Okay, we have some PhD students in the house. We have operation engineers, research in renewable. Thank you. We have development. We have okay, company secretaries. Thank you. Corrosion engineers. We have sales engineers. We have general managers. We have environmental officers, administrators, energy advisors again, health safety officers. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, continue typing. Please tell us what is your current job profile. Okay. Someone is trying to be creative, to fill my screen with some writings, which is okay anyway. We have service technicians, we have co-founders. Okay, we have branch managers, master students, electrical interns. Thank you so much. You can be able to tell that we are an all-round forum. We're in an all-round forum. This is very good. Thank you. So I will go to the next question that we want you to answer so that we know more about you. So the next one is this: do you work in private or a public entity? So this is the next question. So you can try to type, please. I will read the answers as they appear on my end. Thank you. So do you work in public or private entities? Also, if possible, you can write the name of the entity, Okay, this is okay. Unemployed is okay. Please go on to type so that we are able to see the answers. Private, we can see many people are from private entities. Private still. Development agency, okay. We have students, people that are not yet working. Private, we have people from Davis and Sharleaf Limited. Okay, this is good, thank you. Private, Equatorial Power Limited, okay. Hello Solar Technology PLC. Okay. Please tell us where, in which entity do you work from? Okay, I work in a private sector, O&M Energy Uganda Limited. Thank you for participating in this. Thank you. Okay. Where are you, participants? Where are you? We are over 100 and I can't see many answers on my end. So please continue typing. Okay, it's like many people are not answering to this part of the question. I don't know if it's very clear. Private entity. Yes.
Martha, I see that many answers are coming from the chat. If you want to give a look at it.
In the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, is it working okay? I'm not able to type at Menti for this particular question.
Okay.
Yeah, even me, I'm not able to type. I think we are not having access to typing.
Yeah, same as me. I can't type it because whenever I type it, there's a question from audience something.
Okay, so we can get the answer from the chat. I think
that's okay. We try to see, and then from the chat, that's okay. Yes, yes, from the chat is fine. Okay, we have someone in Tree Uganda Academy, private. Then we have African Financial Renewable Energy Engineer and Business Development Manager in Malawi. Thank you. Equatorial Power in Uganda, thank you. Private architect, thank you. I think I go back the presentation. You can also go the chat to see where your colleagues or where the other participants are working. So thank you. I think because of the interest of time, I go to the next question. The other thing we would like to know is if this is the first time you are participating in the MGA training, you can just type yes or no so that you are able.
Yeah, I see that we lost Caroline for a while, I believe, for internet issue. So the question is, the information we would like to know from you is if it's your first time to participate in this Microgrid Academy program, please just type in the chat. It is important for us to know how many new people are with us today. Of course, this is not impacting your participation experience in the program, but it's interesting for us to know. So just please feel free to write in the chat. Yeah, so I see really many people are with us today for the first time, but also all the participants, previous participants are also back to the Microgrid Academy training. So we are really happy for your interest and really for your participation. So let's wait for a while for Carol. I hope that she will be able to reach us back again. I saw from your feedback that we have a really good representation of African countries in this training. So we hope that you will get this opportunity to really network among you, to share experience, to share contacts. Yeah, and now I think we can go ahead. And for this, I really would like to leave the floor to Elena Sottovercillo and Gautami Eti. They will be with you, as I said before, during the next day. So this training is composed and will be implemented with 6 online training days. Elena will be all the time with you, and she will guide you through the several different sessions. For this, I would like to leave the floor to her and to Gautami to share some more practical information before we start with the first training lesson. So Elena, please, the floor is yours. Let's speed up a little bit this part so that we can really start with the lesson.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you today. I was just in touch with Carol, but I think she lost connection, so I'm not sure she will be able to join us again. In the meantime, we can share with you the program for today and the coming days, just for you to get an idea of what is going to happen this week. Of course, everything is also available on Moodle. you have received an email with all the information on how to access it, and then Gotami will also share with you some more information, and of course we are always available for support in case of need. Let me share quickly the agenda. I think you can see it now. Sorry, I'm with Alf with the mask. So the first day today, after the introductory session that we had with Carol, we will discuss about rural electrification needs worldwide with the support of Francis Mugnoni from Makerere University. Again, then we will have a short break for lunch, and we will start again with renewable energy resources potential in Africa, presented by Freddy Sugar from EACRE. Then we will start also learning about entrepreneurship skills with the support of COA. Then tomorrow we will start again at 11 East African time. I will go through the agenda very quickly because, you know, yeah?
Hey.
Do you have questions? No. Okay. Then, yes, I was saying we can go through the agenda very quickly, as every day we will see it again before starting the day. So then tomorrow we will go through some key concepts on solar energy radiation, solar resource characterization for decentralized renewable energy design. And also we will get an overview of different types of delivering energy access with a focus on microgrids. Tomorrow we will be supported by Technical Solidarity, by Ethiopian Women in Energy, and professor from MIT. Yeah, then I see that we are a bit late, so I think we can go on. I will and then tomorrow we can also have a better look at the rest of the agenda, but as I said, everything is available on Moodle. Gotami, do you want to share the information with the participants?
Yes, Elena. Thank you. Good morning all. My name is Gautami. I am working as intern here. I will be quick. I have 5 points to explain you. First of all, always insert your name, which is full name, and last name on Zoom. And you can easily rename yourself after entering the meeting, clicking on the 3 dots close in your image. So this will depend upon your attendance, because the attendance is also a main criteria. You should have 70% attendance in these 6 days. We know that we will have some technical issues, internet issues, but that is why we are giving 70% attendance. We are considering at least 70% attendance. So going to the Zoom name, I just took this picture from now only. You can see that here and here there are no names. In this case, we can't recognize you and we can't give you attendance. So please rename yourself. Like if you go to your name, you can see there is a more option, and there is a option called rename. Just type your rename and enter. So you can place your full name and surname there. And second one, regarding the materials, after every day of the training, you will get the materials in the Moodle. If anyone didn't get the Moodle credentials, you can just mail us, we can respond you. And if you already participated in our last MGS, you should use your old credentials to use the Moodle platform. And the third one is we created a WhatsApp group for the communication, like for quick communication. I already sent you the mail, so you can just click on this link and you will join in the group. And I will also share this in the Zoom chat. If anyone didn't yet join, please join with us. And if you have any questions during the lectures and we don't have time to answer it, just put it on the chat box. We will collect the all questions and we will respond to the questions in the Moodle platform. After the training, we will collect the all answers from our lectures and we will post it in the Moodle. And fifth one, if you have any issues regarding the training or certificate or final test or survey, you can just mail us and we will respond in working hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena and Gotami, really for sharing this really specific and detailed information. So try to follow this guidance from Elena and Gotami. It's important because this will facilitate your participation in the training, but also our organization activity. So really, it's important if you fill your proper and correct name and surname in the profile in Zoom, because this will allow us to provide you the certificate upon your participation, your minimum participation rate in the training. At the end of the training, you'll be also invited to have a final test and a final survey. So really, we invite you to pay attention and get all the information and knowledge will be provided to you through our trainers. We really invite you to interact with our experts. So to participate in an active way in this training edition. Say that I would stop here. Really, I leave the floor to Elena to start really opening the lessons and training session. I will see you in the next day, but you will be really relying to Elena and Gotami for the specific edition and everyday training. So thank you very much for your participation, and I really wish you a good attendance to the training.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you. Thank you for leaving us the floor. And I would like to welcome here Francis Mugini from Makerere University. Sorry, there is a disturbance. Please be careful with your microphones. Of course, you can ask questions if needed, but if not speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so yes, welcome again, and welcome Francis Mugini from Makerere University. Are you here?
Can you hear me, Elena?
Yes, yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for joining us. You should be able to share your screen and the presentation as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. I do welcome all of you at this MGA 2022. My name is Francis Mugini. So just a bit about me. I currently am a PhD student in Loughborough University, but I am originally from Makerere University, where I've been an assistant lecturer for the last 5 years or 4 years, there and about. Prior to that, I worked as a small hydropower consultant. I've been doing that for the last 11 years. I've just listed a bit of some sites I've worked on. These are built, so you can go and see a bit of some of the work I did there. Maybe some are not in good shape now, but at least when I left, they were. So windy, swam, Kosi and all. I'd also worked in Karuma for 8 months or so as a mechanical engineer there. It's a 600 megawatt plant, currently, I think, at about 99% installation. What we're going to do today is I want to take you through the rural electrification needs worldwide. It's just a bit of synopsis on why do we do this? Why are we pushing for electrification? What are some of the common terminologies we use or some of the technology? I can see that most of the people here, this might be a bit redundant, but if you humor me, you probably would walk away with one or two things. I could see from the professions that maybe most of us are overqualified for what I'm about to present, but who knows, you might learn one or two things and we probably have a better and fruitful conversation. So this is a bit of the content. I trust that it won't take us as long as it appears here on the content. And so I'll just dig right in. One of the biggest push for rural electrification, or just electrification in general, is that there is a growing population without access.
The screen is half, please.
Sorry?
The screen is half, is not full. Like the right side is somehow not full.
Okay. Is that the same problem for everybody?
I think the audience, you can change the screen on your side.
Okay. So I can switch the screens. Okay.
Francis, you don't have.
Side. It's full on my own side, so you need to confirm if it's the same for everyone.
No, it's cool here with me.
Okay. So
okay.
Okay, so I don't have to change anything. Okay. So there is a growing population without access to electricity. And in many countries, the population growth outstrips the electrification measures. So some of you have conversed with Uganda, you could see that the last demographic survey lists our electrification rate at just under 20%, whereas a few years ago, it had gone into 20s, so I think it was 22 or 23%. And the cause of that, one of the causes, I mean, you could argue that probably the first surveys where there was a bit of an overestimation, but one of the causes is that the electrification rate over the last 2 or 3 years has actually slowed down, and the population growth or the number of households have actually increased significantly. And this is not peculiar only to Uganda, but in most of the sub-Saharan Africa. And at the moment, there's about 800 million people around the world who are not connected to any source of power or electricity. And the definition in this case, we're not talking about grid necessarily, but we're just talking about whether someone even has a smaller home system to connect a lighting point or two. So we're not talking about elaborate electrical infrastructure, but simply just the fact that for lighting, you use some sort of power source. And the other bit is that there are higher costs in grid extension. Obviously, many people are not thrilled to take power to where there are very few consumers. And the fuel costs also for off-grid solutions can be quite high. One of them, if you're running a diesel genset. So in this case, one of the things that has been suggested is to go down the road of mini grids. Because one of the things about mini grids is that you're not just providing simple lighting points, but actually it can be a means of improving the social economic state of a particular village. Rather than if you just give them maybe solar home kits, you just be, as someone put it, putting light on people's poverty. You know, you're just lighting. If you provide a light or two, maybe there is some change, but probably not significant. So a typical mini grid in this case would have some sort of a genset, a generator, just any form of generator. I do apologize for using genset because it can in many cases it means diesel generators, but just generators in general. Whether you're talking about PV systems or wind turbines or small hydropower plants, all you need is something that can generate power, have a grid, a distribution system, and have customers connected at the end. And in many cases, then you can supplement it with a genset, because if you're using renewable energies, you know that at different parts of the day or different parts in time, you will not really have constant supply of sun, or neither will you have constant supply of wind. But even if you used hydro, there will be sometimes, maybe in some places where you have severe droughts within parts of the year, where you cannot have constant supply in most of these systems. And obviously, to shift the demand and the load, to shift so that the generation can always meet the load, if a battery power pack is usually provided. That helps you to match the generation to demand, just in case those two do not go hand in hand. And one of the descriptions of what a mini grid is, this can vary from country to country, but many people would say maybe anything under 1 megawatt is a mini grid. It depends. For example, in Uganda, at least from the regulatory view, I think it's under 2 megawatts. But in many places, they would agree that maybe under 1 megawatt, anything that is connected to that would be called a mini grid, as long as there is some sort of distribution grid and this power is not just consumed by one person. Okay. Then obviously some of this I've answered them. Why the mini grid? As I've said, it empowers people. These are sustainable solutions, and in this case, sustainability is simply that if you're not paying for the fuel in case of the sun and the wind, and even hydro itself, if you're not paying for the fuel per se, these are long-lasting solutions. At least you do not have that worry. I mean, you could be worried about other things within the technology, but the fuel is not one of them. They are considered environmentally friendly. You're not going to emit anything within the atmosphere which isn't there already. Then they can be implemented quite very fast. So for example, I've been talking about, I worked at Karuma in 2017. It's now 2022. The project is not yet finished. And when I joined Karuma, the plant had been, I think, developed for the last 4 years or so. So you can tell how long it has really taken for such a big power plant to be built. Whereas some of the solutions that we implemented, for example, in Bwindi or in Swam, as I had introduced earlier on, I also understand that some people do not come from Uganda, so maybe these places might not be very, you might not know about them, but these are very small communities away from the main grid. But those solutions would take a couple of years, and the people would have a mini grid installed. They are modular, meaning that you can scale them up easily. And in essence, we are building this to support the people's economic development or their welfare. I mean, any solution that does not improve the people's economic state or their welfare in terms of health or in terms of education for their children, or access to hospital, to good medicine or good hospitals. I think it's not worth doing, and that is essentially why there's been a big push. And some of the common terms that you hear within mini grids or even just electricity in general is energy and power. And in this case, think if you make an analogy of water flowing through the pipes to the tank, you'd think of the water flow as if it was power. And then you'd think of the water which is stored in a tank as if it was energy. In this case, power is simply a rate. It's a rate of producing or consuming power. To make an analogy also with maybe speed or velocity, it's just a rate of doing something. Whereas energy, it has a component of time. It has a component of either how much has been consumed within a particular time or how much has been stored within a particular time. And the units that would be common with for both of these would be that for power, you're talking about watts, so anything watts, you think kilowatts, megawatts, we're talking about power. But when we talk about energy, we had the time element to that. So we are talking about watt hours, kilowatt hours, megawatt hours, and on and on. And obviously, if you like your food and you saw into health eating and you gauge all your calories, you'll see that calories is simply a unit of energy. But we are only here to talk about electricity. And how this works out is that if you had one lighting bulb of 100 watts and you run it 10 hours, it's equivalent to having 10 100-watt bulbs running it for 1 hour. At the end of the day, you consume the same amount of energy. I have to add also that if you have a 100-watt bulb, light bulb in your house, maybe it's a bit extravagant. I mean, these days, you don't need to have such big, high capacity bulbs to light up your house. The other bit now you hear a lot is the efficiency, what is the efficiency? If we're talking about these mini grids and someone comes and says, oh, the efficiency of our plant is this much, what are they talking about? They just say what their efficiency is simply an indicator of loss. Think of it as an indicator of loss or gain. Depends on how you want to look at it. If I say that my plant is 10% efficient, it means that I lose 90% of the energy and I only get out 10. So in this case, is that efficiency is how much you get out over how much you put in. And in many cases, it's a percentage rather than a ratio. I know that on my slides, I have it as a ratio, but in many cases, simply a percentage. Most, for example, hydropower plants, the big hydropower plants, you might have efficiency of about maybe 80%. The smaller ones, maybe a bit lower than that. When it comes to some maybe coal power plants, the efficiency is even way much lower, maybe 45%. When you talk about wind turbines, the efficiency is even much lower. When you talk about PV systems, the efficiency is maybe even 20%, way even lower than that. So basically, how much do you put in and how much, or rather how much do you get out vis-a-vis how much do you put in? And it's just a demonstration that if you had 188 joules, joules is the amount of energy. So if you were producing this amount of energy, but still you can think of joules. I think joules computes to about watts per second. So it's still, you can, 188 joules, I think, would be like 188 watts per second. For example, in a typical power plant, as you can see here, already at the source of generation, you can lose 65%. This is only typical in gas coal power plants. It will not be typical in a hydropower plant. But also if you think about like wind turbines, where you think of this input as the wind which comes to hit the wind turbines themselves, it's possible to lose this much. And so at source you will lose, but you also lose in distribution. So through the wires, the resistive losses due to the heating of the wires, or might not necessarily even be heating, the very sense that you have a medium which has some sort of resistance. You will lose for what I have here on this graph here is that you lose 10%, but the typical losses, I think, in a typical grid, the big main country grids for distribution grid, for distribution system will be maybe upwards of 20%. At least in Uganda, I think it should be there and about 20% what you lose in the distribution grid. And then you will obviously also lose at consumption itself. So for this case, if you're using an incandescent bulb, you know, those bulbs with the filaments, you lose almost 98% just heating up the filament, and the light that comes out is the other 2%. And this is on assumption that you're using a 188 watt, rather 188 joules. If you're considering, for example, a 60 watt bulb, you're thinking 60% of you're only using about 2% of it to light up, but the other bit actually just heats up the element. Obviously, the heating up of the element is part of the process of producing the light, but usually it's not what you're interested in. You're interested in the light itself at the end. Same thing can be done for a fluorescent lamp. So most of these fluorescent lamp, they are not those ones which have filaments, but these ones tend to have like some sort of a powder or a coating inside. And I would assume that most of you have these in your houses. The waste heat is not as much. The beauty about fluorescent lamps is that they tend to be very low capacity, but they produce a low capacity fluorescent lamp. For example, here 15 watt will produce as much light as a 60 watt incandescent bulb. And I think even these days, this is even much less. I think you can find like 5 watt fluorescent lamps, which compete favorably with an incandescent bulb of, you know, upwards of 60. And this is the beauty of efficiency. In this case here, if you were going to give the village that you're connecting to a 60 watt incandescent bulb, that means that you need a bigger high capacity. You might as well just give them the 15 watts because they will get the same thing after all in terms of light. And so part of the what we talked about, the mini grid, is the sources of energy, and one of the commonest ones is solar energy, which is simply sun, light from the sun, and I have here light and heat from the sun. But in this case here, when we're talking about PV systems, we're only interested in the light. When we are talking about solar water heaters, we're interested in the heat. So we do not want heat for the PV. It actually makes them less effective. So, and these, for the case of the solar water heaters, you can obviously have the flat plate solar water heaters, or you can have the evacuated tubes. If you live in a country which does not have so much sun, you probably want the evacuated tubes because they absorb better. But if you live, for example, in Uganda or Kenya, which are nearly around the equator, maybe not so much of the evacuated tube. The flat solar water heaters might be sufficient. The other bit is the concentrated solar panels. This is not so highly used, common in East Africa, but I think there are some big plants in Morocco and I think Tunisia. I could be wrong, but definitely Morocco, where you do have these carved solar panels. The sun hits them and they reflect to some sort of a tower, which has, think of it of some sort of liquid and salt. And they boil that water more or less, and then you use the steam to run some steam engines. You wouldn't probably find the concentrated solar water panels in mini grids. Photovoltaic panels, certainly. Solar water heaters on individual houses, this you would find. And so when we talk about the PV effect, what we're actually talking about is simply that you have light, the light hits your solar material, and that solar material produces electricity. I will not go into detail, but the PV material is simply a semiconductor. All you need is a semiconductor. And you would know that a semiconductor is between an insulator and a metal, you know, in terms of conduction. Why you need a semiconductor is because you want to generate, when the light hits your PV material and you generate a photon, you need enough time to separate, rather when the photon hits and they produce an electron, you want to separate that electron before it goes back to its energy state. So that's why you need a semiconductor material with a bit of what they call a band gap. And these mostly crystalline silicon, but obviously there are other material which have come out very new, thin films and all. But what you need essentially is a semiconductor. Usually you get what they call a P-type and an N-type, put one onto the other. In between them, you create what they call a band gap, and that band gap helps you to separate the electrons whenever they are generated by the photons. And the white things you usually see on your solar panels, these which look like lines, are simply terminals to collect those electrons. And then obviously those, when they're connected, many of them, they are put onto a terminal, and one of them becomes positive and another one becomes negative, so you can connect or whatever you want to. And so you have a single solar cell, and a solar cell, those solar cells can be arranged within a module, and many modules can be arranged into an array. And the system can be either grid connected or off grid. In many countries now, in sub-Saharan countries, there weren't, I think, regulatory frameworks to do connected PV systems, grid connected PV systems, but I think that is changing recently, that many, I think, but up to a certain capacity now you can connect to the grid. Obviously, when you connect to the grid, as you can see here, you need some sort of, you need an inverter. An inverter simply changes DC to AC. And obviously from the grid, you always have AC. You don't necessarily need an inverter for certain loads, but I think it's demonstrated better in the off-grid, in this off-grid schema, where you can see that we have what we call a solar charger, and this solar charge, the charge controller, sorry, and the charge controller it can regulate how the battery is charging, but also the beauty of it is that you can connect certain DC loads. You know, so if you have some sort of DC lamps, you don't necessarily have to take them through the inverter. It's unnecessary. And sometimes even charging points. So for example, most of our phones are DC consumers. That's why you need some sort of a DC charger on them. So some phones, they can be connected directly if there is provision of that on the charge controller. Obviously, for the loads which need AC, then the inverter is needed. And so the good thing about the off-grid solution is that depends which loads do you have. You might not need an elaborate system with an inverter sometimes. So in this case, there are many ways to develop mini-grids. Different ways. I'm not here to give an elaborate way of developing them, but there are steps where you can have actually the businesses and maybe social centers subsidize how much the community, and in this case, the community, I mean the people's houses, the households, how much they pay. Sometimes they don't pay at all, so that you carry that cost onto the businesses. In other cases, maybe they can pay. But what we find in most mini grids is that maybe in Africa, there will be a portion of some businesses or some consumers who do not pay for some reason. Maybe they donated land, maybe it's the chief, the political chief of some sort. So there are many ways to develop a mini grid, and there's not a one size fits all, especially in the terms of its financing. How you're going to sustain that business, it might look different depending on the circumstances, your reality. And here, the slide simply says there are various ways of financing business. Some of you, if you know about who come from Uganda, there's a mini grid at one of the islands called Kitobo. I think it's 200 kilowatt, I think, PV system. The way how it's being financed, one of the ways that it's being financed is that the person generating, the company generating the electricity is also the biggest consumer of that electricity because they have an ice plant. So they produce this ice and then sell it to the fishermen, and the fishermen can preserve their fish. It's a bit of a different way of doing things where the major power producer is also a major consumer, but you can see that to at least cut, break even, or make a bit of profit, some of these things are needed for the sustenance, the economic sustenance of the plant. And this is a fancy diagram to just show you how really this looks out. What a mini grid would look like, but essentially is that you oftentimes have at least a mini grid connected to some consumer, to some businesses, and hopefully those businesses also create value. So for example, for the farmers, if they have their agricultural produce that they are able to preserve or add value. Obviously, communication is a big thing. So for example, I think in Uganda, you have 19% electrification rate, but I think the mobile phone circulation is upwards of maybe 75%. So clearly you have a lot of people who have a mobile phone, but they do not have a power source. So, and so you could see that in this case, in this diagram, is that there's an assumption that good communication is also good for the farmers. They get to know about the markets where they will sell their crops or reach out to some markets which are not necessarily within the enclave. And one of the most preferred thing is what they call the bottom-up approach, as opposed from top down, where, I mean, if I had some money, maybe $1 million, I just go and set up a plant, and then, whoever wants to connect to it, connects to it. The problem with such a measure is that there is no community ownership. There is no, I mean, even its security itself sometimes, I mean, if you're the big guy, everybody wants to, well, not everybody, but most people feel obliged to spite a business of someone who they deem maybe they are very wealthy, as opposed that if you bring the solution to the people, or you generate the solution with the people, and the people are involved who are going to run. Sometimes these people don't even know anything about such things, but they are taught how to maintain the plant, how to run it, and all. This bottom-up approach has resulted to effectively run mini grids as opposed to the other way around. And so engaging the community into the ownership of the mini grid, you know, there's client satisfaction, you're building local competencies, and some of these competencies will go further than the mini grid itself. So for example, if you taught someone, I don't know, maybe just running some equipment or fixing some equipment, even the fear of handling such work of such magnanimity, if it goes away, they are able to go and fix up other things which are not necessarily that, you know, because some of these are just transferable skills. And so if you are into the business of rural electrification by mini grids, you probably would want to engage the community from the onset, rather than just giving them, just coming and impose some sort of solution onto the community. And there are very many stakeholders, but think of it from the government to, you know, the people who have the money. You know, in most governments now, you do not have just a regulator, but you also have like an rural electrification agency by its own as a standalone. Then in many cases, in many rural areas, you always have some sort of NGOs, these development agencies working they could be working on other issues, not necessarily electricity, but they hold so much sway, or they have already done so much work on other things, and so you might want to engage them. Not forgetting the private sector and all. You might want to ask yourself, okay, so are there some tools tailored for this kind of work if I really want to design? Yes. Obviously, you can do most of this work from firsthand, you know, Excel sheets, raw calculations, and all. I mean, you can build yourself these tools. And the good thing with that is that you're in control of what goes into these tools, and you're not blind to the methods which are being used, because you're constructing these things yourself. But for most of us, might want just, you know, a tried and tested tool off the market, which you can just play around with and master. So I've listed here maybe 4 of them. Most of you would know Homer. Maybe some of you are very proficient in this. You would know the REOT. Most of these are from the National Laboratory in the US, or the microgrid design tool by Sandia National Laboratory, or the distribution energy resources customer adoption model. I forget this one, the L for, but B is for Berkeley, something Berkeley National Laboratory. In any case, I've put here a link for which NREL did where they're assessing these different tools. I think when you get the notes and you go to the link, you'll see which one is well suited for you. The ones which are very elaborate in their the way they show the data, or even the way what you can use them for, and some which are just very simplistic. They give you like some sort of overview. In any case, what you need, at least from the onset, is to know some sort of you have some sort of consumption profile or even generation profile. Just to, maybe if I can use a minute or two here, is that, for example, if I was planning for a diesel, if you, let me see. Yeah, so if, for example, 0 here is an indication of midnight, you can see that at midnight, maybe up to about 9 o'clock in the morning, I am running a diesel generator until the sun comes and kicks in. I have a lot of sun, but while I still have a lot of sun, I can charge the batteries, I know, and maybe sometime at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., the sun goes down, and then this diesel generator kicks in again. But at this moment also, I can drain the batteries. I can drain the batteries a bit. The black that you see there, the black curve is the demand. And for most part of the day, I'm able to handle the demand until some peak here where the demand seems to go, where the demand seems to outstrip what I have. And so the red part is what I shed off, is some sort of load shedding. So if you're running mini grid, you can go to the community and switch off a few loads. The beauty is that if this is already in planning, you can avoid such scenarios by factoring them up into either how much batteries you need or how big the diesel generator, in this case, you might need. So at least you need to know some of these basics of consumption. You will not get it 100% correct, but if you do not have it, you will probably get it 100% wrong. And so,
sorry, Francis, to interrupt you. We have 5 more minutes because we are already late. So just if you can, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so to do the profile demand, at least you need to know a bit of what do people use in their house or what do people intend to use in their houses. And might also want to know when do they intend, you know. So for example, in the first year of the mini grid, maybe everybody is interested in a lighting point and a phone and a TV maybe. But in 3, 4, 5 years time, the same people might maybe want air conditioning and things, you know, the desires tend to be insatiable as long as people have power. So in East Africa, for example, you could see that most people use the mini grid. What they use the mini grid for is lighting, phone, TV, radio, and refrigerator. This really looks different when you look at South Asia, where you have, you know, air conditioning playing a big part, which really doesn't feature in East Africa as much. So you need to really know what people will be using. And most of these are standards, you know, you could fairly tell how much capacity this is. Okay, what does access mean? In this case, why do we care about access? I think I've mentioned a bit why we do care about access. It's simply to make, in a word or two words, live people's lives better. How better? Business-wise, within their homes and their welfare. And so how do we measure it? Until a few years ago, we just said, this many people are electrified, this many people are not electrified. And so it's just a binary measure. Now they are conditional that simply because I have a lighting point doesn't mean that it's reliable, it's efficient, it's available when you want it. It's up to the environmental standards that is desired and all. So there's been a challenge of the binary measure. And so a multi-tier system has been created, I think, by ESMAP, the Energy Sector Management something program, I think. And so we do have 6 tiers now, and these ones break them out. At least now you're able to tell that if 2 countries had the same electrification rate, so for example, if Uganda and Kenya had the same electrification rate, what does that mean? You know, is one country better? And in this case here, I've just extracted out, for example, for Ethiopia, where you can see that I think 45% there and about of the country is electrified. And so that means that only 55% is not. 55% of the people are not electrified, 56 are not electrified, but what is the share of these other people electrified? So think of the tier 5 as someone who has power all the time for all their needs. And these needs, for example, are quite exorbitant. Some of them are, well, not exorbitant, but in a way, these are big consumers. Whereas the first tier is probably only just a single lighting point for 4 hours a day, and probably 1 hour in the, at least one of those 4 hours, 1 hour in the evening. And so it's the same thing for Rwanda. As you can see, that Rwanda, maybe 27% of the country is electrified, but what is the outlook of the other? And so you can see that maybe where you might want all your people to be is maybe in tier 3. I mean, this is subjective, but I would prefer most people, I don't speak for anybody here authoritatively, but I would prefer that people would be in tier 3, because I think that is where I am in terms of consumption, although I have power all the time, more or less, in my country, in my house. But you can see that except for Rwanda and Kenya, it's not really working out fine for them. And lastly, this gives you an indication of where the countries with the highest deficit are in the world. Again, I could be wrong about this, but I think Nigeria maybe has the most unelectrified people in terms of sheer numbers, you know, not necessarily percentage-wise. But as you can see, lots of it in sub-Saharan countries. One of these is Uganda, I think, and Tanzania. You have a bit of the Caribbean here, and also the Southeast Asia. I think maybe this is India. I'm not so sure whether this is Myanmar or Nepal. So this is where the need is. This is where the biggest need is. We've only talked about electricity, but obviously there's cooking, you know, with cooking fuel, where people still use solid fuels, and all. And the focus here is mainly on what we call the scaling up renewable energy countries, scaling up renewable energy program countries, where you would find most of these issues. I will not go further than that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. If there are questions, I would like to ask the participants to write them in the chat, and then we will send the questions to Francis for his response. All the questions will be then shared through Moodle, all the answers. Okay, so the next trainer should be Fred Ishuga from EACRE. But Fred, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's okay, I would like to, because now it was time for the break, but we are a bit late. So maybe we can, if that's okay for you, we can still give 10 minutes to the participants for a short break, and then start at 11:15. Would be okay for you?
Yeah, sure, definitely. I think it's important they stretch up, grab a cup of coffee.
Okay, okay, that's perfect then. Okay, so thank you very much, and we will get back here in 10 minutes. So yeah, sorry, I'm always confused with the time, but East African time should be 12:15.
It's 1.
No, 1:15. Sorry. Okay, so thank you.
So hope you are able to see my screen, yeah?
Yes, yes, now we can see it.
Okay, let me just put it in full presentation mode and allow me to know when I can start.
Yes, we don't see the, okay, now it's full presentation mode. I think, yes, you can start. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Elena, Marta, and the whole organizing team yeah, for inviting me to present today under the, actually in the first day of the Microgrid Academy. So I'll be talking more about renewable energy, basic introduction to renewable energy, the sources together with the potential in Africa. And the focus of the highlights I'll be presenting will be on solar, wind, hydro, biomass, and also on geothermal. So yeah, feel free to stop me any other time by raising your hand for any clarification. This is just a basic walkthrough, and should you have even more in-depth information that you would like to get to know, please, you're allowed. Just feel free to stop me, and I'll be able to expound within the context of this training. And then I would also like to know from Elena, when can I stop? Because the content can be as long and it can be as short. So is it at 2 or 2:15?
Okay, so I think you can take a few more minutes, and I think you can take 10 more minutes, so we can say 2 to 10.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll try to finish by around 2:05, so that we can also have 1 or 2 people sending in comments or questions, so that we can have a discussion over there. Yeah. So just a short background about myself. I'm Fred Ishuga. Some of you, mostly in Kenya, Uganda, and within the region, we might have interacted. I'm a sustainable energy expert at the East African Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. You had my executive director previously giving an opening remarks. Yeah, just on my training, I'll say that I'm currently doing 2 programs on higher learning. One is on the defense phase of my PhD thesis, and also I'm doing my MBA on strategic management. I have an MSc in power engineering and engineering thermophysics. This one I took it in China, Shanghai Jiao Tong University, those who are aware. And also, I have a basic engineering training in energy engineering, and this one I took it at Kenyatta University. So before I worked as a trainer, so I worked as a lecturer, as assistant lecturer at Kenyatta University in the Department of Energy Engineering. Yeah, so of course in the area, I have different other certifications, and of course you can be able to see under the abbreviation. So now I will not go through the list, but as I said, I will look at the basics of solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and also biomass energy. That's these are some of the main sources that are being used. They have huge potential in Africa. So they're the areas that we'll mostly focus on. And also within the subject that we are talking about, that is microgrid, they have great potential also to be good fits in terms of working as a standalone and also working in hybrid mode with among themselves. That's those renewables, even sometimes working with diesel generators to be able to provide our people with clean, mostly and reliable energy that can span our economic development and also be able to improve our livelihood. Just to start with is that the figure you see above is a basic figure showing the energy system all the way from the source. You can see depending on your left energy sources, moving to the right, the effect of the uses of energy. So when we look at the energy source, I've just listed a few on renewables. So we have quite a number of energy sources. Just name them. We have like nuclear is also an energy source. We have solar. We have wind. We have fossil fuel, and of course, fossil fuel you categorize them in their own categories. We have the solid ones, coal. We have the liquid one, that is the oil, and also we have the gaseous one, that's the natural gas, together with other sources like biomass. These all form primary energy sources, or their energy resources that we have. And for us to be able to use them, of course, we take them through a conversion process, either to have them give us the final product that we want, or to have them transformed from the primary phase they appear in to another secondary phase before we can be able to use them. And through that transformation, of course, we have the primary source being converted, and then we have the secondary form, which now can be able to put into use. Take this an example, biomass. We can have it to be able to help us to do lighting. And how do we get there? We start by heating the resource. It helps us to heat either steam and turn the turbine. Then we can be able to generate electricity, which is now a secondary energy source that can be able to be used to provide lighting. And that's one of the effects that you can see on the right. We are able to light, we're able to cool, we are able to heat. We're able to do other office work with the energy. We are even able to do other manual work with the energy that we are getting. And of course, with this process, usually it does not occur in, I can say, in vacuum. There's a lot of interaction. There are a lot of processes which also leads to not just the intended product, but sometimes leads to byproduct. And you can see below there, as we interact with these sources, then we end up also producing waste. As we transform them, we end up also producing waste as we move forward to have the desired product, which helps us to have them be used as required. So through the process, there's a back and forth interaction with the environment, replenishment and depletion and all that. And of course, when you're converting again, we end up getting other products that might be wastes, depending on the desired product, or the same product can also be used to do other things. So basically, we all know that Africa is quite blessed, and in many cases, in the literature that we read, we are told that Africa has got enormous amount of natural resource, and part of it is energy. Energy is a natural resource. So we have a very big potential, and it's therefore a matter of seeing how best we can be able to put it or to exploit it so that it provides us with the services that we want. So from the literature provided here is that to date, the continent is rich in solar, and this is based on the location on the globe. Yeah, we are not much affected by the seasons. I bet wherever Marta and Elena are right now, they're in very heavy jackets and they can't leave the house without covering themselves well. The number of sun hours they are receiving is very shortened with longer dark days or number of dark hours. Yeah, so different from Africa, those deviations in the north and south are there, but not as much. And therefore, we are able to tap a lot of solar energy. So we see that the continent is the richest in solar and has installed about 5 gigawatts of solar, which is still less than 1% of the global total. Yet the region stands in an area that has got a very huge potential. So the question is, do we see potential in this? And basically, this training tries to activate that we need to go out there and see that we try to exploit these resources as much as possible for the benefit of our people. And you can see the figure on the right here showing how these changes can come by 2014 with new policies and also the ideal case for Africa when we all move towards more of the renewables. You can see like the coal exploitation will reducing. We see that potential for solar is very high, and therefore when you look at 2018, very small exploitation, and there's huge potential with improved policies in place and also in a deal situation that we are able to tap even more of it. So basically this map shows the resource, the solar resource, and it provides the energy density or the insolation within the globe. And when you look at it, some areas have got higher potential, or they have higher irradiation, and therefore are providing very high potential for harvesting solar energy. And later I'll be putting it down. The solar energy can be harvested in many ways. You can use the light energy to provide electricity. You can still use the heat from the sun rays to provide heat, yeah, that can be used in different other forms, and therefore trying also to offset other forms of energy like electricity that are being used to heat or provide cooling in some situations that are needed. So basically, when you look at the continent, is that Africa receives a high number of annual sunshine per hour compared to other regions, and as we saw, only 1% compared to the globe, and therefore potential is there. And there are many options that we can be able to use, categorized into two main. One is solar PV or solar photovoltaic using the photons of the sun, or we can use the heat coming from the sun to be able to either generate electricity or directly use it to offset the otherwise electricity that could be used in that form, especially when you talk of solar water heating systems. Yeah, so instead of using the electricity, you just tap the heat energy directly and be able to use it. So solar energy is in use, and as I mentioned, to provide light, to provide electricity through the light that comes with it, the photons, or we can use it to generate heat or to provide heat through the heat energy that comes along with it. So there are a number of technologies. There are a number of much has been done so far in the solar industry that can enable us to be able to exploit this resource, either directly for electricity generation or for heat. So since a large amount of solar energy is available to make solar very appealing, especially in Africa, so it is important that we have our people well trained to be able to use this technology that is available to be able to tap or exploit these resources. So as I shared earlier, is that this is one of the potential opportunity that we have to exploit solar energy. You can see here we have, we call it a solar water heating system. What this does is that using the energy from the sun and this conversion device here is mostly well known in the market as a solar water heating system, yeah, or a panel. It's able to tap the heat, and with the running fluid inside, usually water, in a very simplified way, although we can also have molten fluids. We have specific molten salt that can be used when we want to generate power. Then you're able to heat this water and then store it in some storage tank. So when need be, when there's need on times that we have no solar, like at night, very early in the morning, kept in a well-lugged tank, you are able to use it in your taps and also in your showers. So this device, highly visible, is what you can see in the plane, in the photo below. Many people, of course, are familiar with this kind of system. So solar water heaters basically to capture the radiation and the heat from the sun and heat a fluid that runs in the tube of the system, especially which is exposed through the panel. And this, as I mentioned, is able to offset the otherwise electricity that would be needed to heat water, and therefore be able to save on the generation and, of course, on all those conversion processes. So today, solar heaters are very efficient devices. You can see them gaining market every day. It's a technology that is maturing very fast. Yeah, and especially in areas that we have well-connected flowing water, it's easy to use this system. Although, of course, in African context, we still have areas that are quite rural, and issues of water flow dynamics makes it a challenge. But it's, of course, it's an area that we can always be able to complement with solar PV to be able to bring about the best flow and therefore best use of solar water heating systems. Yeah, so photovoltaic systems, I'm sure this was shared by Francis Mujuni as well. Basically, they're using the semiconductor, the silicon semiconductor, which is produced in cells combined together to form a solar module that is connected in a way that when the sun shines on it, it activates the cell, and therefore electrons start moving, and you're able to tap the current. And this current is combined and of course shared to the inverter, and you can be able to use that electricity. So yeah, photoelectric power is able to be generated in majority of the areas on Earth, so long as you are able to you're able to expose, or so long as the area is exposed to the sun. And of course, designed accordingly depending on the location that you're in. So this is where in Africa, we see huge potential in generating electricity, actually compared to others, which later I will share, like hydro, like geothermal, which are site-specific for electricity generation. You're not able to get this potential well utilized everywhere on Earth, apart from specific locations. Yeah, so the thermal part of solar also, we can see it being utilized in many other areas. We have what we call passive solar building designs, and this one is well known for regions experiencing varied seasons in a year, and especially those in the north. I remember in the north, you'll prefer to have a building with the larger windows basically facing south, so that during winter you are able to have your house warmer than the ones that are facing north. So it's a technology that can also be used to tap solar energy, and specifically for indoor thermal comfort and ventilation issues. Yeah, so this photo just provides what kind of installations we can have. We have grid connected, we have microgrid, we even have solar home systems or standalone solar systems. Yeah, so moving on from that, we have another source of energy. This is wind energy. Basically, is energy that can be tapped from moving air. Wind is basically moving air, and it results from different heating that happens on different places of the earth. That areas that are highly heated, the air becomes lighter, rises up, and air from areas that are not very highly heated comes to replace it, and therefore creating that flow of air. So on Earth and in Africa, we have areas that have higher wind exploitation potential, or in simple terms, the wind speeds in those areas are constant and a bit high. That when you install a wind harvesting system or wind exploitation system, mostly we refer to it as a wind turbine, then you are able to tap constant wind energy from it, or constant energy from it. So wind potential is fairly distributed across the continent. And you can see the distribution is highly on these areas of the North Sub-Saharan areas. We have very high potential together with the Horn of Africa. And in the south, around the desert, the Namib Desert, the South African part, very high potential. You can see also in the areas of, in Kenya, we have quite huge potential, and this is where the largest plant in Africa is located. Yeah, about 310 megawatts. Yeah, together with a few other places, they have quite huge potential. And basically, this potential is usually gained. You are able to map that by taking records of wind speed at quite some good height for a consistent amount of period, and therefore you're able to ascertain that potential. And just looking deeper into that is that, as I mentioned, wind is moving air, and anything moving, what you're looking at is you are looking at tapping its kinetic energy due to motion. And therefore we have a wind turbine, which is an equipment well designed to be able to exploit that. Of course, you don't block it, but it's designed in a way that as wind passes through, it's able to cause this equipment, this part, to turn. And when it turns, it's connected to equipment at the back. We call it, we have the generator which is linked to the gearbox that controls also the movement, and also other controllers. And therefore, you are able to get smooth power being generated from it. So wind, and especially specific types of wind turbines, are now considered to be mature technology, like especially this horizontal axis wind turbine is towards the finer levels, just like in small hydropower. Most of hydropower is considered mature technology. So wind is actually aging towards that with different technologies. And therefore, it's a proven technology so long as you are able to identify the site that has good potential. So we have types of wind turbines, and I will be very brief here. That we have, like the one I've shared, is a type of horizontal wind turbine. Yeah, has higher efficiency. Yeah, although installation is of a bigger challenge because of the generally larger size that they come with. Yeah, then we have vertical axis wind turbines. The efficiencies are usually lower. It's vertical because the rotation, the axis of rotation, it's pointing upward. Yeah, so it rotates on a vertical axis. Horizontal axis, the blade rotates about a horizontal axis. So because of the relatively lighter size, they are easier to install, although the technology here is not as highly mature as this one. So I've just shared here the one of the paper I've published, but it looks at wind energy resource exploitation in urban environment. But the principles are the same. If you have a look at it, it can give you much more details about the types of wind turbines, both the horizontal axis wind turbine and also the vertical type of wind turbine. You can see this, it rotates about the vertical axis. This one rotates about the horizontal axis. Yeah, these are some of the plants in Africa, 310 megawatts in Lake Turkana. I just shared the location earlier. And also we have another one, a 20 kilowatt wind turbine in Basweni in Kenya. And of course, we have many others across Africa. Yeah, so moving on is a brief description, of course, of another resource. This is hydropower. Hydropower is one of the very oldest technologies that have been used to generate electricity in Africa. And mostly it was done in a very centralized way, thanks to the new innovations that has brought about the potentials that are there in distributed and decentralized energies that now many people are able to access this clean energy. But even that, hydro in a larger scale and even smaller scale are quite important, and they have very huge potential in some areas in Africa. So Africa has the highest percentage of untapped of this hydro power potential. Yeah, and it's just said that about 11% is utilized or is developed. So we have another bulk of 89% of this potential that is yet to be developed. And therefore, this shows that there is a huge potential to be able to tap in the hydro power sector. Below here is a list of countries and how much installed capacity they have in terms of megawatts. You can just take your time later and look at it. And this map shows some of the locations, countries that have developed small hydropower. Yeah, so hydropower classified, hydropower plants, they're classified in different ways. And therefore, those who have gone through hydropower training, they're able to differentiate this. But just in a nutshell, we have three main categorization of hydropower stations. One is based on the head. The head is how high is it from the discharge at the high point of the dam to the entry of the turbine. So that is the head. Yeah. So, and it's on a vertical height, not inclined or horizontal, vertical height. So we have low head, we have medium head, and we have high head. Again, different countries have different definitions of this. Some countries, 50 meters is high head, others is 150 meters and above. So it depends, but that is the general classification. So they also classified based on the nature of the load. Some are just there to, because of the nature of how you can operate it, just to maintain the base load. Others they are used only when the peak load comes. Like peak load comes in the afternoon, then they start running the water through the turbine so that you can be able to maintain the new load that has been introduced in the system. So also you can categorize them in that manner. Again, you can be able to categorize in these other various ways. And this is an availability, quantity of water that is available for generation. One is we have runoff river plants without pondage, and this mostly comes with small hydropower stations, those who are aware. Then we have also runoff rivers with some pondage or some storage. Some small hydropower stations also. Okay, thank you.
Papa.
Yes, yes. Bye. And down, auntie.
Auntie.
Sorry, have a young one here was coming from school.
Papa.
Yes, yes. Okay. See you. Connecting.
Na LSV.
Yeah, okay.
Mimi na LSV.
Yes, sorry about that. 20 seconds break. Yeah, so we have those that don't have, those that have storage. Yeah. Then we also have larger ones with storage. Yeah. Not really runoff rivers, but you just have a storage penstock, and then you are able to there inline along the river channel. Then we have the pumped storage. You allow the water to be discharged, but you can always pump it up to use it later when the load is low. The grid load is low. You don't just allow the water to flow. Part of that energy you use it to bring back the water. Then you can drain the water by allowing the turbines to turn when the peak load comes. Then we have also a mini and micro hydropower plants, as I just mentioned. Mostly they are runoff rivers. And then moving forward is that, looking at that map on the right, it just shows the potential that is there in small hydropower. You can see very high potential in dark gray countries. As you move to lighter gray, then the potential keeps on diminishing. Like for instance, you see Ethiopia, we see Kenya, we see Angola with very high potential, over 800 megawatts of potential, of hydropower. So as a whole, of course, Africa has an estimated potential of about 12,197 megawatts. Not very big compared to other continents, because I know this is still much smaller than what is available in one single plant in China. You know, the Three Gorges, which generates about 24,000 megawatts, a single plant. But of course, it's a huge potential based on our current energy demand. And quite a number of countries, as I mentioned, have that huge potential. So less than 5% of this potential is exploited. So we still have quite a long way to go. So basically, when you look at how the hydropower plant operates, is that of course we are using the potential energy stored in water at an elevated level. Then we allow the water to flow. So that the hydraulics of the flowing water downstream is directed towards a channel using these pipes. You can see the pipes here. Basically, this one, we call it a penstock. So it's allowed into a confined channel where the turbine turns and the water is allowed to proceed with its downflow. So when this turns, it allows the generator the rotor to turn. And therefore, through that process, those who have done some electrical courses, you understand what happens, then electricity is generated, and therefore conditioned the transformer and discharged towards where the need is. So basically, when we look at it, hydropower has got quite huge advantages, and of course, anything with advantages, of course, it doesn't. It goes without saying. Of course, disadvantages also comes in, but the advantages are more. Looking at it as a renewable energy resource first, and where dams or reservoirs are constructed, then these dams are quite important to be able to, you're able to build them so that they are able to control how much you're able to generate and for how long. So it becomes a stable kind of power generating system when you are assured of a reserve that you can always allow to run down, and therefore the turbine can turn and you will get your electricity from there. Yeah, so in this nature, of course, you are able to control electricity that you want to generate, either to be used as a base load, as I mentioned earlier, or you can also be able to control it and increase the generation for it to cover your peak load when the peak load times come. So it's also one of the very natural ways of energy storage with the dams provided. Then you are able to store your energy, and therefore when excesses are needed, you are able to draw from the storage and run it down. Otherwise, you can be able to harmonize your generation potential with hydropower. Many other advantages of even the plant area itself. We have seen the areas being very scenic, and therefore tourist activities within such kind of places where dams are constructed, fishing activities. We have farming, irrigation, because the water is available and you can be able to draw part of it to do farming work and all that. So it comes with much more advantages. Issues of flood control comes in. Issues of navigation comes in. It provides, the dams can also be designed very well, and therefore navigation becomes quite easier. And now on the disadvantages is that in many cases you find that the effect of dam construction also they create a microclimate within the environment, and therefore it affects other activities like agricultural activities. Issues of destruction of landscape is also an issue. Sometimes it can also be a flood-prone area after erecting a dam or after constructing a dam. Yeah, we have seen the dams being constructed, changing the social life of the area, creating, you had a neighbor 2 meters away. Because of the dam, your neighbor becomes a kilometer away and you cannot reach there easily. You have to move around the dam and all that. So such kind of issues are some of the issues that have been raised when we talk of hydropower sites. And one of it all, many other of renewable energy sources that it's site dependent. You cannot erect a hydropower dam and a hydropower station anywhere along the river channel. There are specific parameters you have to consider, there are specific features you have to look at before you can erect a hydropower station along the river channel. Yeah, so these are just some of the photos. So this is an embankment dam. You can see it stores water, then you are able to generate electricity. Yeah, the same here. Yeah, you're able to generate electricity. So let's quickly move on to the next one, that is geothermal energy. Geothermal energy, in simple, is just the energy, the heat energy that is stored within the ground. Those who did some geography a bit, you know that the deeper you go, the hotter it becomes. And therefore, there are specific aspects that are available within the ground that you are able to tap on this potential. That's the geothermal energy potential, specifically for electricity generation. But it's important to know that geothermal energy is available everywhere on Earth. You can be able to tap it if you want to use it for low-grade heat. Yeah, but for electricity generation, they're very site-specific, and therefore some features are important to be within the geological formation so that you're able to tap it. And you can see here, this is much deeper into the crust. So usually we need to have some kind of a permeable rock, which is embedded within an impermeable rock. And therefore, water is allowed to seep through naturally. At some level, it gets heated to a level that it's beyond 150. And therefore, when you sink a well, well-designed well, you are able to tap that heat in form of steam. So basically, that is a brief about geothermal, and it's available in so many places along the Great Rift because the area is quite active. Yeah. So starting all the way from Djibouti to down in Mozambique. And when you look at the potential also of geothermal in Africa, is quite huge. It's estimated at about 30 gigawatts. Just 1.2% is currently exploited, and majority of it is exploited in Kenya, with over about 600 megawatts of it being exploited. So we have over 92% of potential which is unexploited. So geothermal energy is considered renewable because, of course, naturally the heat is available from beneath. And if there's continuous supply of water within the crust of rocks, then we are able to get it constantly. Of course, we have different types of geothermal, the geothermal well. We have even just hot rocks without water available in it. And therefore, you're not able to do that. So what sometimes happens is there's injection of, you drill, you inject water, then you can be able to produce it. But naturally, this is the situation that when you sink a well, a geothermal well, you're able to tap in steam, which is conditioned at the wellhead. You turn the turbine. Then, of course, the steam has to be taken to a cooler to lower the temperature. Then you inject it back into the well so that you don't lose. You don't lose a lot of water from the well. So yeah, so we consider geothermal, as I mentioned, as renewable and also as green. Although, of course, in such areas, depending on the composition of the rocks below, we sometimes have gases that comes from the well, but in terms of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, ammonia, we have very low potential of it coming out, and therefore it's considered green because it's no greenhouse gas being emitted. So you can have it provide for you constant energy. Yeah. So in Kenya, it's actually used now as a base load. So because of its sustainability, you are sure there is heat from below, and as long as the reserve, the geothermal reserve has got sufficient water, you'll always get steam. Many other advantages of geothermal, but only listed those. If we had time, of course, we could deliberate on a bit more. Then the disadvantage, just like hydro, it's site specific. You don't get it anywhere you want to sink a well, unless you just want it for low grade heat. But for electricity generation, there are specific places you can harness this type of energy. So again, I mentioned seeping of hazardous gas, depending on the composition of the rocks, also a potential for geothermal energy. And most likely sulfur-based gases, hydrogen sulfide, is one of the common gases that seeps out of the rocks below, together with a few other minerals that can also find themselves way up the crust of rock that are not very good. Yeah, so this photo just shows site in Kenya, Olkaria. You can see around Naivasha. So I'll not go deeper into explaining how it works unless we get some good time, then I could do that. Yes, so finally, on this, I will just share a bit about another resource called biomass. Biomass is one of the resources that is highly used in Africa. Actually, I can say is that most of the African countries, especially cooking fuel, actually the total energy mix usually it accounts for over 80% of the energy used, and therefore it's a very important source of fuel. And when you look at biomass, in many cases, of course, we consider it as a renewable energy resource from the fact that you are able to grow more crops, yeah, and make it sustainable for use. Yeah, so that is basically why we categorize it as a renewable energy resource. But of course, with population growth and increased need, if there are no changes of improving the efficiency of using it, among other things, then it becomes a problem. So biomass, of course, is from it's a shortened word from biological mass, which is actually any organic source that comes from either plant or animal materials. Yeah. So sometimes also we refer it to as bioenergy. We just put bio and energy. Yeah. So and in many cases, when we talk of bioenergy, in many cases we use it to describe already processed or secondary biomass energy. But of course, it applies for both primary and secondary energy. Yeah, so yeah, we have so many materials that can be put into use as a biomass energy. We have wood, we have agricultural and forest residue, we have municipal and industrial solid wastes, we have algae and many others. So wood mostly is used directly. You just burn it and you get whatever you want in boilers, at home to cook and all that. And you're able to tap the energy out of it. Agricultural and forest residues in quite a similar way. You collect it after harvesting, then you burn it, and you're able to tap whatever you want in a boiler. You can do combined heat and power, among other uses in process heating and all that. Yeah, so we have also algae from our water bodies that can be used more so in anaerobic digestion processes, so that you're able to convert it to other gases. You can even use it directly by drying and burning it to be able to tap the heat that is embedded in the carbon that is available in the plant matter. So bioenergy can be converted into various ways. Actually, this is a form of energy that can give you almost all the others that you want, all the other secondary energies that you want. It can give you transport fuel, it can give you electricity, it can give you heat, and many others. So it's highly flexible, and the technologies for that conversions are available. So of course, bioenergy can be available in all these states. Solid fuel, can have it in liquid fuel, can have it in gaseous fuel. Yeah, so different applications. Solid fuel, of course, we use it mostly for cooking at home and also burning in combined heat and power systems. Liquid fuels for cooking and transport. Gaseous fuel also can be used for cooking and also transport. So cogeneration, as I said, is one of the very important very important technologies that are being used to increase the efficiency of our biofuels that are available. Using this technology, you are able to generate electricity and also use the heat, waste heat that comes as a result of combustion to do many other useful activities, and especially in process or in plant processes. So it's a technology that is highly welcome in some agricultural industry, especially like sugar industry, coffee industry, among others. And you are able to offset a very huge electricity bill and of course efficiently use your biomass materials. So electricity that is generated through this process is usually fed to the grid or can be used within the industry itself that is generating. So through this technology, usually, as I mentioned, the overall efficiency is increased, yeah, compared to just direct burning and leaving it. Yeah, so we have different technologies that have been used in cooking. Unfortunately, in Africa and especially in rural areas, this technology still dominates. We call it the three-stone fire, very traditional, very inefficient, but of course, it is one of the technologies that has been used and very traditional technology. We can see on the right different kind of improvements that have been done to be able to improve on either efficiency of using your fuel and also aspect of reducing the emissions that comes when you just openly burn your fuel like this. So these three technologies are based on that. Like this one, it has even an electric fuel aerodynamic system that improve the dynamics and therefore improve the combustion efficiency, and therefore there's higher reduction in emission of toxic gases and also improvement of combustion efficiency, and therefore you are able to get much out of it. So basically, I will not talk much about this just because of time, but basically when we look at biomass energy conversion, we have three main conversion technologies that are available, and one of it is what we call direct combustion. This one is just taking your biofuel, whether solid, liquid, or gaseous, and burning it in a combustion chamber, either a boiler or any other combustion chamber. And therefore, when you burn it, and in a larger scale, you are able to heat water, which generates steam, and steam can be directed into a turbine. And through the turbine, you are able to generate electricity. So this is one of the conversion technologies that we have in biomass. Then we have another one, it's called pyrolytic gasification, or basically I can refer to it as a thermochemical conversion. Under this, we can have two products that actually three products under thermochemical conversion. We do that sometimes to make charcoal, if you people are aware of charcoal or biochar. Yeah, biochar is made through a pyrolytic process. So you burn raw wood in a confined environment with very limited supply of oxygen. And therefore, what you just drive off from that system is what we call the volatile matter. Then you remain with fixed carbon and ash, which is a cleaner fuel. So when you burn, it's a little much cleaner and of a higher quality. We can also have liquid fuel through a process called liquefaction process by heating again in a confined but elevated temperature. And therefore, you are able to get what we call pyrolytic oil, which is a liquid fuel And you can use that liquid fuel again to generate electricity in a combustion chamber or in an engine. Then the last one is what you call gasification process, where you heat in a high elevated temperature, subsidized or very controlled oxygen levels, and therefore all the materials together with the volatile matter are converted, and you are able to get a gaseous fuel, which you can again eat either directly to turn the turbine, or you can also use some engines which uses kind of a gaseous fuel to be able to generate electricity. Then the last is what we call biochemical conversion. Biochemical conversion is use of biological materials or use of microbes to be able to convert. And there are two technologies here. One is what we call anaerobic digestion, and this is commonly known to provide what we call biogas. Yeah, so you also confine your biomaterials with some which are highly vegetative into a confined area with the limited supply of oxygen. Then you are able to get what we call biogas, which is a combination of methane and CO2. And when you burn it, you are able to also generate electricity, or you burn it for cooking. We also have another one which is called bioethanol conversion process. It's a fermentation process, and this one mostly happens in sugar industry, and you are able to generate ethyl alcohol or ethanol, bioethanol. And that one also can similarly be used to heat water. You convert it into electricity, into steam. You turn the gas turbine or the steam turbine, and you're able to generate electricity. So just to let you know is that there are quite a number of activities that have been happening in Africa to be able to exploit bioenergy for improved livelihood of the African people. Yeah, so these are just some of the existing renewable energy infrastructure in South Africa. Of course, different countries also we have this kind of mapping done, and therefore, if you visit some sites within the ministry in your country and or specific organizations, you are able to get such kind of geomaps. There's a lot of activities currently to map renewable energy activities across Africa. Yeah, and therefore this should be my last slide. There is a huge potential in Africa, we agree, and these technologies, all the solar PV and others, the prices are going down. The prices are going down in specific technologies which are gaining momentum, like in solar. And therefore, as the prices go down, it becomes much more advantageous. And within a period of time, we have seen a very huge increase in uptake of solar PV, in uptake of even wind energy, increased installed capacity in Africa. And also, there is now increased uptake of combined solar power systems, concentrated solar power systems. So what we can see generally, looking at the potential of renewable energy in Africa, is that there's huge potential, and therefore let's go for it. So I will stop there. I try to rush through it because of time, and also allowing other trainers also some time, not to delay you so much into the evening. So thank you, and I'll take it back to Elena.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you very much for your lecture. As before, if there are any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat, and then we will get them to Fred and share the answers with you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I guess we can go on with our next training session. We have Kowa that will share with us some information on entrepreneurship skills. So I see that Petronilla is connected. So Petronilla, I will give the floor to you. I don't see your colleagues, so let me know in case there are issues. Petronilla, can you hear me? Okay. We don't hear you very well.
Are you able to hear?
No, I mean, we can hear something, but it's very disturbed and slow. I don't know what about the others, if they can hear you well.
No, the line is breaking.
Okay.
How about now?
We hear echo. I see you're connected with two different devices, so maybe that can be the issue.
Yes, I've disconnected on one of them.
Okay, now it's perfect.
Now it's perfect.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I can hear you very well. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, you're also able to share the screen to present. I don't know if also your colleagues will be joining or it's going to be only you. Just
Yes, with my colleague, he will be able to introduce himself in a bit.
Please, Petronilla and Isaac, you can start.
So, sorry for the slight hiccup. Welcome once again to this training. My name is Petronilla Kiome. I'll be with my colleague Isaac. We'll be taking you through the business training, or rather the entrepreneurship skills. And as indicated, we would ask you that you be interactive. Join us in case of any question. You can type on the chat. Elena shared with you, before we start, Elena shared with you a business form, or rather an evaluation form that we are hoping for you to give responses. And so far we've had responses from 7 for that. For anyone who hasn't been able to access the form, we'll be sharing it on the chat so that you're able to fill it as you carry on with the training or before the next session. So thank you. I'd like to invite my colleague Isaac to start us off for the day.
So I hope everyone can hear me. Please confirm.
Yes.
Okay, so we continue. We're going to move directly to our training this afternoon. And our training is basically on business skills, and we are in a world where business is the backbone of everything. We make money from doing business, and this is something we cannot put aside as we do our day-to-day activities. We have to do business, we have to understand it and make the best out of it. So I just want to highlight what we are going to maybe cover in this session. So you can take me to the next slide. So the aspects we are going to cover, we will be touching on renewable energy, just an overview. Then we look at the demand for renewable energy. We're also going to have a case study on renewable energy. In this case, we just specialize on two, India, Indonesia, for that matter. We can add more. Please continue. Yes, we're also going to discuss, and this is our main area of caption on renewable energy and entrepreneurship. These are what we're going to concentrate much on because our session is on entrepreneurship. And then we'll be looking at the growth of renewable energy, especially we will also have a mention on different countries, how the growth of this industry is. And yeah, so maybe with this highlight of what we are going to discuss on, maybe as we wind up, we will check on the opportunities that are there for entrepreneurs and businesses probably that we can measure on and to make money out of it. So I'll beg to move to the next slide just to start us with. And yes, just some introductory remarks on the same. I can read this quickly. There is no doubt about the role of renewable energy. Okay, just summary of this is that there is so much investment countries are making towards renewable energy. Projects are being implemented. There is a lot of funding for the developing countries. There is so much funding for projects on renewable energy. What we are saying is that it's the highest time that we embraced renewable energy and started looking for opportunities, maybe to solve the problems that are there and make best use of it and also make money from it. And with this, maybe we can give me the next slide. Please give me the next slide if you can hear me. Yes, so I will not take much on this because you have been in class throughout the day. You have discussed a lot on renewable energy. Mine is just an highlight, just to introduce this. So about the renewable energy, and I'm not going to do details on this because you've read that. So the renewable energy, we understand that more so using of natural resources such as sunlight, rain, to generate power. And the most important thing about the renewable energy is that it is environment friendly. And I think that's why it is being embraced so much in the world, given that there is a problem about climate change, where there are issues, there are concerns on the same. So the renewable energy is very friendly because you are using natural resources like sunlight, where maybe you can have solar to get energy. This way there are no harm to the environment and so forth. So I will not take much on this one. So you can help me just go to the next slide. And we now, yes. So I just want to point out something about entrepreneurship as we check on this. But the question here is there an increased demand for renewable energy? And I would like to point out something very crucial about entrepreneurship. For business and for one to make a successful business, at some point you need to understand the problems which are there, because the earlier days people just developed products and they take them to the consumer without really understanding whether their needs to be met. And I would say that for entrepreneurship to be at the peak, for businesses to succeed, maybe a person starting a business, you have to understand the problem at hand, see whether there are needs to be met, such that when you are coming up with ideas or when you are proposing to start such kind of business, you understand the needs that are there in the society. Like now per se, to say there is a need which has been identified about energy. Understand that we use electricity so much in production, in manufacturing and so forth. And because of the problem that is at hand about climatic change, which is being brought about the emissions from factories because energy being used. And that's why most countries and the world at large are embracing the renewable energy. And so they understand that whether there is a need, whether there is a demand for energy, renewable energy. This way you are able to understand in what dimension you can invest on in business. So just to touch on this, maybe study shows that renewable energy has increased. If you check data from different surveyors, it shows that there has been increase of use of renewable energy in 2020. That's by 29%. From up to 27%. I'm quoting for 2019 data. There's a projected demand of electricity generated from renewable energy to more than 6. This is just a projection of what is ahead of us. You can take me to the next slide, kindly. Yes, so the data we are using here, part of it I've gotten from the IEA, International Energy Agency. They have so much data. Maybe you can get time and also have a look on this. But because I said we will have a look at a scenario, because we want to understand, is there really a demand? Because also when you are starting a business, you have to think about sustainability and also about the future. So we want to understand, is there really enough demand that calls for investment of entrepreneurs in the renewable energy industry? So to understand this demand, maybe we can look at how countries are investing on renewable energy. And to start us up, where we're going to check on India. So the data I have here is the investment in India renewable energy sector has doubled. For us, most of us who follow about population statistics and all that, you understand that India is the population is also growing, which necessitates starting up of industries so much, and looking at the growth of industry, that also demands for increase in power supply. And this power supply now, it's now what is bringing in the demand for renewable energy. So per se, India is one of the countries, if I can say, like the third largest consumer of electricity in the world. Worldwide, India is ranked third. And I think also, if you check at the data, they are also ranked as the third in terms of investment for renewable energy. So we can say that really, just from the data, there's roughly $20 billion US investment on this. So I just quote some report I got from the IEA, the International Energy Agency. So according to a report about the clean energy investment in 2019, that's where I got the figures from, about around $20 billion US. That's a very huge investment, which makes us really see the need that is there or the demand that is there. If you see countries heavily investing in this market, it means then this is the future we're taking on. And I want us to just continue to see more data on this, just to prove the point that there is demand for renewable energy. And I just began by saying that for an entrepreneur to succeed in business or to make your business viable, you have to understand the need which is there. So just another scenario we're looking at. Just give me the next slide, please. If you can hear me, yes. There is also Indonesia, where we are having a scale up of the power system that is there. They're also trying to scale up the, just to measure, it is called Java Valley, the power system, where they are trying to scale up the solar system. In this case, they are trying to manage 145 megawatts on the same. And their projection is to have almost 64% of installed capacity. That is the power supply to range to 64%. I think the total consumption from renewable to be around 64%. So the power mix currently for Indonesia is roughly 63% on coal, 18% on natural gas, 2% on oil, 10% on non-hydraulic renewable energy. Yes. So somebody is talking, I interrupting. So,
Hey, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
You can hear me?
Yeah, now, yes.
Yeah, okay. So kindly project the next slide. Okay, this one will be on still on Indonesia. I was saying that the projections that they have for by the year 2025, they are projecting to have an annual demand increase for renewable energy to 5%, I think, annually. But the target, kindly project the next slide. I can see it from this side. Can you hear me, Elena?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I've seen it. I can see it now. So I was saying that Indonesia, they are projecting to have an annual increase of renewable energy, at least at 5%. That's annually. But their target by 2025 is to have 23% of power being generated from the renewable energy. The reason why I'm assembling all this data is to understand the demand that is there. So we cannot check on all the data for all the countries, but I just sampled a few just to understand the demand that is there for renewable energy. So these are for an entrepreneur is very interesting. Yes, you can move to the next slide as I expound on this. Yes, thank you. So maybe we would like to understand why the renewable energy industry is growing so fast. Because as you can see from the data I have, and if you go deeper and see so many countries are investing on this. So there's so much growth in use of renewable energy, and the industry is really growing so fast. And some of the things that we can attach to the growth of the industry is about the technology. I think technology has captured on this. And then about, you see, when many countries are employing renewable energy and there is production of it, it's getting cheaper. So it is becoming very affordable to communities, especially in the rural areas where there is no access of electricity per se. And you can also see that there is so much rise in electricity consumption. Then there is also legislation. Governments are coming up with policies that are favoring the renewable energy industry. So we can attach success or growth of this industry to the legislations that are there. And then I cannot go without mentioning the financial initiatives that are by the government, by the international donor. So basically, for sustainability of renewable energy, we can say it's coming from the support that is there on policies, on funding. Yeah, and I think I've just said, you can take me to the next slide about the future of renewable energy. Elena, please. So yes, the renewable energy, we just want to ask ourselves this question, that is there any future about the renewable energy? And for sure, according to the data I've just mentioned, for example, for India, which is a very good example, in India, because we want to understand about the future of the renewable energy. In India, they are projecting to have zero emissions by 2070. So this means that they will have totally transformed or generated renewable energy 100%, having increased the production of renewable energy, connected it to the rural areas. So their projection is to have zero emissions by 2070. And I think the discussions around the globe on the concern on climate change, this one also is a takeaway, because the climate change is also worrying countries so much. And we are saying that the renewable energy is very friendly, so much friendly to the environment. Now, I don't want to continue so much on analyzing the data for different countries. Just I want to summarize up with all the data I've given here, and just to mention about the leading country in the world in consumption of renewable energy, which is the US, United States. Also, we cannot go without mentioning China. Other countries that are leading in use of renewable energy are Germany, there's Spain, France. They have also invested heavily on this. So my point here is that let's now get back to entrepreneurship, because I was just highlighting to put a point across on the demand that is there. So I said that for you to basically have a good business and to succeed, the starting point always has to be, you are trying to solve a problem that people have there. People will give value, they will buy a product that gives value to, adds value to them. Either way, there's a need a consumer has, and that's what makes you get money from your pocket and purchase. So if you are an entrepreneur and you are really not solving a problem to a consumer, I think the element of making profit, it won't be as such appetizing. So you have to really understand the problems that consumers have, try to solve a need, and that way you are safely in business. So I'm summarizing by saying that the problem that is there that we can really rely on for entrepreneurs, really those who are on the side of renewable energy, is that there is so much worry on the climate change globally, and given that the renewable energy is not giving so much harm to really there is no harm on the environment by use of renewable energy, then we can say the demand is there. Countries are embracing on this. So today, I want us we move on with our discussion and try to understand some basics on entrepreneurship that we can put across, and maybe we can have questions later to answer. So I'm pleased to invite my colleague Petronila to just handle the next area, because we want to understand what is in for the entrepreneur in terms of renewable energy. Are there opportunities outside there? Maybe we need to grab and do business on them. So Elena, I want to invite Petronila to take over from this, and then we'll be summarizing on this later on. So thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. To carry on from what Isaac has been saying, what we've been expressing under entrepreneurship.
Good afternoon.
So, what are the business opportunities, or what would you categorize as business opportunities for renewable energy around the world? So as Isaac has indicated, there is an increased need, or there is an increased demand for consumption of renewable energy globally. So what do we do as entrepreneurs, or as people within this industry? How can we take advantage of these opportunities that we have, or that may arise in the future? For us to be able to make or take advantage of these opportunities is for us to think as an entrepreneur, to be able to take advantage of these opportunities and come up with economic advantages for ourselves, for our households, and also for the community at large. We can explore the various areas. So first and foremost, what would you categorize as a business opportunity? So for you as someone, or as an individual, as a professional under renewable energy, we would like you to think of a business opportunity as taking advantage of the needs within the community to satisfy a demand, maybe through provision of a new good, or something that's new, a product that is new to the market, or a service that will be able to satisfy the needs. So the basis of a business opportunity as an entrepreneur, we look at it in terms of satisfaction of a need that is, or rather a requirement within the area that we live in. So if I was to ask you, in terms of renewable energy within the various communities, within the various countries that we reside in, if you look around within your area, what are the needs of the people in terms of energy, in terms of consumption of energy? What are the needs that you are able to fulfill through utilization of renewable energy? So just to point out, I think the one who is controlling, I think Elena will be able to match my speed with changing the presentation, or rather the slides. So we already ahead by 2 slides, yes, under indicators. So for you to be able to determine, or for you to be able to seek out a viable business opportunity, what are the things that you need to look at? Check about in terms of unavailability of some of the goods or services within the area that you reside, or the country that you reside in. What is the need, apart from what the consumers need? What goods are they saying that they are unavailable that you can take advantage of? Maybe in some cases there are these products and services, but they are not fulfilling the demand as per the needs of the consumers. So you can take advantage of that and take it or build it to become a business idea for yourself. You can also come up with a business opportunity from any services that are not to the quality standard that the consumers require. For example, there is a good that is being provided, or a service that is being provided, but there are constant complaints about the service provision. Maybe you can take up that service and offer it as a business. You can take advantage of that business opportunity. It creates a business opportunity for you as an entrepreneur. Also, there is overpricing by the already existing business people or entrepreneurs. You can offer that same good or that same service within that same industry, but at a better price that is more affordable to consumers. Not to say that you should be pricing your goods way lower to a point that you don't get a profit, because at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, our aim is to satisfy a need and also get a profit out of it. So that's one of the ways that you can take advantage or come up with a business opportunity for yourself. Another way is check into the market. Maybe some of the market, for example, like the solar provision of solar energy is not overcrowded at the moment. So you can take advantage if it allows within the policies of the country. You can take advantage of that and get into that market. Also, as we carry along, there may be new needs leading to increased demand for the products. So overall, for you to be able to translate what you're doing into to become an entrepreneur, from carrying on from a professional and to translate to an entrepreneur who is gaining profit or is gaining an income advantage for yourself, you need to think of what you're doing and how you can offer it in terms of a business. So that's basically what you're saying. Assess your area. You'll need to carry out market research to see what are the gaps within your industry. What are the gaps that you can fulfill? And once you identify these gaps, ask yourself, is this opportunity serving a consumer need? Because at the end of the day, if whatever product or service you are going to offer does not fulfill a need, it's going to bring challenges to you, and it will become more so irrelevant in the end. So I would like to ask a question, and I pose a question to you. If you are to look at the area or globally, what are some of the opportunities for entrepreneurship that are available within the renewable energy industry? So I would like us to maybe share our responses or our answers under the chat. You can just type in and I'll be going through them. So my question again, what are some of the business opportunities or what are some of the entrepreneurship opportunities that you can take that are available within the renewable energy industry? Is my question clear? Yes, I can see Antonia says solar PV installation. Thank you. Abigail Kiarie says solar PV installation. Jacinta Gatweri, we have solar product sales. Thank you. Energy audit, swapping stations for electric vehicles, that is Dixon. Selling accessories, solar heaters, asset financing, community needs assessment, project and development. Yes, let's carry on. So Rolex, we have energy efficient products. Solar heaters for Michael are needed in winter-prone regions. For example, South Africa. We have Dengu, we have local manufacturing company, supply of good. Renewable power plant maintenance, fish drying on island, solar cooling services. Yes. Tutor course, well in. I see we do have, I'll carry on as we share our responses. So we are actually, I can see we are all within the target of this class. Yes, there are so many opportunities that you can take advantage, and not just as an industry or as a whole, maybe on the large scale, even on the small scale setup, we can come up with products and services that we are able to take advantage that require minimal capital. And from this end, we are able to grow and carry on with the businesses to scale them up. So I think some of the opportunities, as I've mentioned, I had shared. I think we can go on the next slide. That is under installation. We have repair and maintenance. From what you've shared, maybe I can add repair and maintenance, because all this, maybe the pumping system, the solar heaters, they will need over time, they'll be wearing out. They'll require maintenance services. So you can come up with a company that handles repair and maintenance of all these equipment that you are going to use. You can come up with the home energy consulting. You can come up with the consultancy services. I think under what we have, you are able to see most of what is on my presentation has been said, you've shared under chat. If you've never thought of a business idea under renewable services, I would challenge you, pick an idea from what the rest have shared. Maybe you can write it down and go and do more research. What is applicable to you? How can you expand on the ideas that have been shared? How can you expand on what you've already been carrying out? Because as you have said, there is an increased demand, but with the increased demand, there is still a much more need, or rather under all these needs that the consumers have, we are able to explore each aspect or rather each opportunity in various aspects. So you might be offering solar heaters and still offering consultancy services. So I would like to challenge everyone. How are you able to translate the skills that you have to be able to get income from it, to be able to assist the community at large. So as an entrepreneur, for you to be able, yes, you have identified the product or service that you are going to have, or you're going to sell to the market. So what skills do you need as an entrepreneur? You need skills in planning and strategizing. You need to be able to plan and to strategize. Strategize in terms of identifying the needs of the customers. Is the product that you're offering, is it moving? Is it able to serve a need for a customer? Are you able to identify the gaps within the market? And if your product becomes redundant, are you able to see ahead of that period or ahead of the need of customers? Are you able to anticipate the needs of the customers prior to them needing that product? And how are you able to adapt to what is on the ground or what is happening in the market? Also, you need analytical and problem-solving skills to be able to analyze all these needs, to be able to plan ahead, to be able to carry on your business, to make it profitable. You need to be able to be analytical, to be able to analyze the needs of the customers, to be able to analyze your sales, to be able to analyze how are you going to make ordering for your products. You also need skills on branding and marketing, because for most of I think we're on the wrong slide. Can you go back a little bit on the previous slide? Okay. You'll need branding, as I was saying, you need branding and marketing skills for you to be able to introduce some of these products and services that you're offering under renewable energy. They are new to the market. So you need to really brand yourself. You need to market those skills. As an entrepreneur, you really need to be the face of your company and be able to assist the consumers to understand what product or service you're offering, how are they able to adapt it into their daily lives, and at the end of the day, what benefit does it have to them as an individual and as a community at large. That way, you're able to create relevance to your business and to be able to grow your business into profitability and for you to be able to scale up. Also, personally, as an entrepreneur, you need networking skills. You need to network with other people. You need to network with the other entrepreneurs. You need to network with various aspects to bring together. Apart from professionals in the renewable industry, you'll need to network with people in the financial industry to be able to get capital. You'll also need customer service skills. How are you going to handle any complaints from the products or services that you are offering? So all these skills will be gained in various ways. So as I've mentioned each of the skills, again, I would like maybe someone to share with us and tell us, how can you strengthen your entrepreneurial skills? We have said that you need to have planning skills, strategizing skills. You need to have problem-solving skills. You need to have marketing skills. So how are you able to strengthen those skills, the various skills? Which way as an entrepreneur are you able to grow? Maybe let's say you do not have customer service skills. How can you develop that and grow that? So yes, let's share our answers on the chat, then we'll be able to go through them very fast. So Mogishu, training and experience. Sana says how to establish a business model. Yes, that's one of the most relevant skills for an entrepreneur. You need to come up with a business model for you to be able to develop that idea to become an actual business. Dixon says, first as a student, I think involving self in startups. Maybe you can elaborate more on that. Owen, keep your learning active. Yes, as an entrepreneur, one of the things you will need, always be on your toes, always be open to opportunities for learning. Michael says, participating in startup events and train yourself on networking and pitching skills. Yes, maybe that goes for self-training. Bennett says how to conduct needs assessment. I would say that would go prior to you starting your business or prior to you scaling up your business. Maybe you already have a business. You need to conduct what are the needs of your business? Where are you not able to fulfill, and how can you fill up those gaps? Yes, we have taken short courses, practicing resilience. Anthony says you need to develop business skills, seek for help from individuals that would that are driven within your industry. That would be mentorship, that is business mentorship or apprenticeship. Irenge says learning and experience. So overall, thank you for your responses. I'll say on the aspect of continuous learning, someone has mentioned continuous learning. We do emphasize as an entrepreneur, you need first to unlearn. You need to unlearn, you need to learn, and you need to relearn. Those three aspects, unlearn, you need to learn, and you need to learn. What does that mean? Any practices that have not been beneficial to you as an entrepreneur, you need to unlearn those practices. These are the practices. For example, when you see someone setting up a shop within your area, within a span of 6 months, you find that 5 or 10 people have already opened the same business, yet they are not able to, they have not assessed the needs the same. The initial person assessed the needs for that area. So you need to learn all these negative or non-beneficial business practices. Then, in terms of that, for that gap to be filled, you need to learn the new practices. And once you learn, it's not the end of the road. You need to relearn, which means you need to grow the knowledge that you have. So if you've never practiced a business, if you've never taken up a business, you need to start learning. What do you need for you to start a business? If you're already in business, you need to ask yourself, what are the skills that I'm not able to, what are the needs of my business that have not been fulfilling, and how can I learn new skills? How can I relearn what I already have to be able to scale up my business? Also, you can attend training, seminars, trade fairs, and exhibitions. Take advantage of that. You need to keep your system learning. If you do have employees under your business, you need to keep them on toes in terms of availing these training opportunities for them to take advantage. In this way, they translate the same skills to your business, and in the end, you are able to grow your business. You need to be able to join business forums. This will add to your networking skills. Also, benchmarking. Benchmarking goes with the assessing your needs, the needs of your business, as one of us mentioned. Having mentors. You need to have a mentor in your business. As an entrepreneur, you do need to have a mentor so that they are able to journey with you. They are able to assess what you've been doing. They are able to redirect you towards your goals. A mentor has to be someone within the same industry or someone who has grown within their business based on the needs of the skills that you need and what your business needs. So I would like us to go under business ideation. These are how are you able to identify a good business opportunity? So you need to have 4 things, or you need to identify 4 things. That is generally, or when we are teaching, we call them 3 wives and 1 husband. I don't know how that comes by, but in business ideation, we call them 3 wives and 1 husband. These to mean there's which, you need to identify the which, the what, the who, and the how. So yes, you do have a wide range of business ideas, but what are you going to work with? What are you going to assess for you to be able to come up with a viable business or opportunity, or to assess the business opportunity and come to a good business or an optimal business idea that is profitable to you? You need to assess which, that is, what is the existing, or which gap is there within the market that you're in. Within the renewable energy, we're in different areas and there are different needs. You need to ask yourself as an entrepreneur, which gap are you able to serve, or are you able to fulfill within your area? You need to ask yourself, what product are you going to sell? You cannot sell all the products within the renewable energy industry. If you're starting up or you're scaling up, you need to be able to assess each one of them. So ask yourself, which product or service are you going to sell? And then again, yes, once you've identified your product, who are you going to sell to? Which customers are you targeting? Are they within a certain location? Are they within certain institutions? Are they within a certain region? Be specific. Also, you need to assess yourself in terms of the logistics. How are you going to be able to move that product from maybe the supplier to the customers? Or are you going to produce? Is your product or service one that you require to produce or manufacture? So how are you going to bring together all the raw materials that you need? And how are you going to deliver the end product to the customer? You need to figure out all these logistics. And it's not only in the mind. You see, as an entrepreneur, one of the business practices that you need to unlearn is to unlearn ideas from your, to translate your ideas from your head and onto paper. So another challenge to you, take a business idea, answer these 4 questions. Which gap are you fulfilling? What product or service are you selling? Who are you targeting? Be specific. Let it not be just solar heater customers. Be specific, the location, the institution you are, or the region that you want to target. What are the logistics that are needed? So if I was to give, we shared the link, we had shared the link with you previously for the responses and for this training, and we got responses from 77 participants. 32.5% have already existing businesses. That it is 32.5% of everyone in this class have already business ideas, that is, or rather businesses that are already existing and operating. We have 46.8% who have business ideas. These ones, I would like to challenge them. Translate that business idea into an actual business and start it soonest possible. For the ones with existing business ideas, I challenge you, look at your business, analyze your business, try and scale it up to become more profitable. If it was not profitable, make it profitable. If it was already profitable, change the percentage of that profitability or increase your sales. We have 19.5% who have no business idea. We have they have no business and they have no business idea. So I hope at the end of this class, you've already gained the skills to come up with a business idea and translate it. We have 1.2% who are in employment. So if you look at this data, most of us fall under business idea, having a business idea. So it is my hope that this class has been beneficial for you. And for what is being shared, if you can look at the slide that is being shared currently, it will be able to assist you to better analyze that business idea. Also, for the one with the existing businesses, the 32.5%, it will assist you identify which, what, who, how can you scale up your business. So overall, or to summarize what I've been saying or I've been teaching, is what do you, as an entrepreneur, what do you need to do? To summarize what I've been saying. So you need to know the products you're offering, and also you need to know your competitor. Maybe share the next slide, please. So you need to carry out what, as I had said, you need to carry out market research. Maybe share the next slide before that, after that. Okay. Just go back to the previous slide, sorry. So as an entrepreneur, you need to carry out market research, and market research entails you being able to see or to assess what products you're offering and what are the competitors offering in competition within the same industries and what are their prices. You need to analyze your competitor, because at the end of the day, you need to know and understand what, how their business practices, what better can you offer, what competitive advantage do you have. You need to know the latest trends in the market. You need to also understand, are your products going to satisfy the needs of the customers? And also understand, when we talked about strategizing skills or being able to strategize as an entrepreneur, you need to know when to change or rebrand your product. Once your product becomes irrelevant in the market, how are you able to rebrand it to become relevant? How are you able to take advantage of the space that you have? So, and finally, what is the next step for you? Whether you already have an already running business or a business idea, you need to come up with a business plan. Once you have done business modeling or come up with a business idea, you need to come up with a business plan for you to be able to assess the financial needs, the operational needs, the marketing needs, and the staffing needs for your business. Also, do not underestimate the capital demands or the needs for your business. Through the business plan, you'll be able to identify any financial needs that maybe you might have overlooked. Also, remember, again, you need the mentors and the role models. Also, you need to be able to, after gaining the customers, you need to strategize on how you're going to retain the customers that you have. So to finish up, I would like to say thank you. As an entrepreneur, you need to be always on toes, always on toes. There is a quote that has been shared over there. You can read it. As we finish up from my end, I would like to say thank you for this session of being with us. If you have any questions, maybe you can post them on the chat and we'll be able to respond to you. For anyone who hadn't filled the Google form, please click on the link that you shared on the chat. Go and give your responses. We'll be able to analyze and give you feedback on the same during the next session that we'll be taking you through. So thank you. Back to you, Elena.
Thank you very much. So yes, I see that there are a lot of good comments on your presentation, so I'm happy that participants enjoy the time spent with you. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me well, because with the mask.
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. And okay, so if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Please go ahead also and fill in the questionnaire that Petronila was mentioning. And I think that we can close the session here today, and we will see you again tomorrow.